Chapter 4277 Jin Meili Hei Shinjo was secretly happy, however, she revealed a sad expression on her face. If it hadn't accompanied me, I would have starved to death long ago. Therefore, in my heart, it is the same as my family. I have no reason to abandon it. When that person heard that, his contempt towards Yunchujo weakened a little. The people of their hunting group valued loyalty the most. If there was no loyalty, how would they dare to hand over their backs to the other party in battle? Although this ugly girl was a little ugly, at least she had a good heart. She was much better than some fickle girls. He thought for a moment and took out a gray bag and a ring from the storage ring in his hand and handed them to Yunchujo. Although this origin beast bag and storage ring are a little old and their grade is very low, they are enough for you to use. I'll give you a discount. A total of 1,000 low-grade yuan coins. When the time comes, I'll deduct it from your wages. Yunchujo immediately thanked him with a smile. However, her current smile was not at all cute, and it was a little silly. After Yunchujo took the items, she realized that she did not have any origin energy, so she could not open the origin beast pouch and storage ring at all. The middle-aged man also thought of this and said, "Let's hurry on our way. When we rest at night, I'll teach you the method of absorbing qi into your body." "Oh right, my name is Sha Wuhan. How should I address you, miss?" Yunchujo blinked her eyes and said, "So it's Brother Sha. My name is Jin Meili." Sha Wuhan, her appearance and name were worlds apart. It would be more appropriate if her surname was Jia. Sha Wuhan found that Jin Meili was not only ugly, but also a little narcissistic. She was pretty good in other aspects. He came to Man Town this time to buy some sword pool gophers to trap higher-grade origin beasts, so he noticed Yunchujo who was holding a string of sword pool gophers in her hand. He was also surprised to find that she was pretending to be a man. That was why he stopped her. The reason why he had chosen Yunchujo was very simple. The wolf hunting group was just a small hunting group with limited manpower. There was no way to assign a person to cook and help, and it was even more impossible to hire a servant at a high price. He felt that Yunchujo was very suitable. Firstly, she did not have any family and would not have any worries. Secondly, she did not have any spiritual power. He only needed to use the excuse of teaching her spiritual power to reduce most of his wages. Thirdly, although she was a woman, she was so ugly, staying in the camp wouldn't cause any trouble. It was perfect. Sha Wuhan recalled the purpose and said to Yunchujo, "Miss Jen, sell the sword pool hamsters you have to me. One is 2 low-grade yuan coins, and you have 15. That's a total of 30 low-grade yuan coins." As Sha Wuhan said this, he stuffed 30 low-grade yuan coins into Yunchujo's hand and put the 15 sword-toothed hamsters into his storage ring. Yunchujo didn't know the market value of the gophers. Besides, she couldn't say anything even if Sha Wuhan didn't give her any yuan coins. It seemed that Sha Wuhan wasn't bad. Yunchujo followed Sha Wuhan to a dilapidated shop and bought hundreds of gophers before leaving Man Town. While they were on their way, Sha Wuhan stared at Yunchujo's beard and asked, "Miss Jen, how did you get your beard? It looks quite similar to the real one." "Well, the fur on the rat's tail was stuck on it," Hei Shinjo said vaguely. Sha Wuhan nodded and endured it before saying, "Miss Jen, you really don't need to disguise yourself as a man. Your appearance is really, really safe." Yunchujo. Chapter 4278 The two chatted as they walked. Soon, the sky turned dark, and they found a place to sleep. Sha Wuhan took out 2 black steamed buns from his storage ring and handed them to Yunchujo. "Miss Jen, take a bite. When we get to the camp, we'll have a big bowl of wine and a big piece of meat." Yunchujo was speechless. It was obvious that Sha Wuhan didn't think of her as a lady. She was also hungry. Although the steamed bun didn't look good, she ate one randomly. The reason why there was still one left was very simple. But Face and the pretty boy hadn't eaten yet. She took the opportunity when Sha Wuhan wasn't paying attention and stuffed half of the steamed bun into her sleeve pocket. The remaining half was stuffed into Buttface's mouth. Sha Wuhan turned around and saw the steamed bun in Buttface's mouth. He said disapprovingly, "Miss Chen, you spoil your yuan pet too much. You just let it find its own food, and you even fed it steamed buns." Yun Shujiu smiled and didn't say anything. Buttface's dog blinked its eyes. It hated Sha Wuhan in its heart. Damn it, he called it a bastard, a dog, and refused to give it steamed buns. Just you wait. Sha Wuhan took out 2 more mantu and handed them to Yun Shujiu, saying, "Here, eat. With your physique, you probably haven't eaten your fill yet, right?" Yun Shujiu took the mantu and cursed in her heart. So stingy. Can't she give a few more at once? She used to be a little rich woman, but now she was reduced to a situation where she couldn't even afford to eat mantu. How tragic. Yun Shujiu ate 1 mantu, and the remaining 1 was fed to Little Snake and Buttface. Sha Wuhan did not say anything this time. After dinner, he said, "Miss Chen," Yun Shujiu interrupted him, "Brother Sha, don't be so distant. Just call me beautiful from now on." The corner of Sha Wuhan's eyes twitched. He had to admit that this name was too out of place. However, he still said against his heart, "Beautiful girl, I'll teach you to draw qi into your body now." This is the first step of cultivating vitality, Sha Wuhan rambled on and on. Yun Shujiu felt that it was similar to drawing a spirit into her body, so she immediately sat cross-legged and tried to absorb yuan qi. However, this fellow tried many times but failed to draw qi into her body. Sha Wuhan comforted her, "Pretty girl, it's always like this at the beginning. You'll succeed in a few days." At this time, the sky was already dark. Yun Shujiu could only rest temporarily. She did not know why, but she had a bad premonition that her yuan qi cultivation would not go very smoothly. At midnight, the small silver snake in Yun Shujiu's sleeve pocket suddenly began to wriggle uneasily. Yun Shujiu was startled and could only stand up. Sha Wuhan blurted out in a daze, Yun Shujiu used the excuse of the latrine to enter the wild grass at the side. Yun Shujiu had just entered the wild grass when the small silver snake jumped out from the sleeve pocket. Then, a lively and fragrant fruit man appeared in front of He Xinjiu. He Xinjiu's eyes were wide open. She could not believe what she had just seen. The pretty boy had turned into a human? A certain someone's current mood could not be described with words. If there was a crack in the ground, he would definitely crawl into it without any hesitation. Previously, Sha Wuhan had taught Yun Shujiu the method of absorbing qi into her body. He had also practiced it in his sleeve pocket. He did not expect to succeed in one try. However, his entire person had entered a mysterious state. Then, he sprinted away. Seeing that He Xinjiu was staring at him in a daze, a certain venerable had no choice but to cover a certain spot with his hand and said in a low voice, "Close your eyes." He Xinjiu followed his advice and covered her eyes with her hand. However, she was still looking at him through the gaps of her fingers. Chapter 4279 was short. A certain someone was so angry that he gritted his teeth. He did not understand why the little rascal who had transformed into a person was wearing clothes, but he was now naked. He directly took out the storage ring that Sha Wuhan gave her from Yun Shujiu's sleeve pocket. After using his origin energy to open it, he discovered that there was indeed a tattered piece of clothing inside. He did not care much and directly put it on his body. He Xinjiu had to admit that if a person was good-looking, even if he wore a sack, he would still look good. That tattered piece of clothing on Di Baiming's body forcefully gave off a luxurious feeling. Only then did Yun Shujiu ask, "Prince Charming, why did you suddenly become a human? I'm already at the first layer of the origin core realm now. It's probably because of my elemental energy breakthrough, so, before a certain venerated being could finish his words, he had already disappeared. A small silver snake had appeared on the ground. Yun Shujiu was stunned for a moment before saying faintly, "Male god, you really didn't have much time." A certain venerated being was so angry that his entire snake was distorted. Good, very good, he would remember it. Hei Shinjo shrunk her neck when she saw the small silver snake's ice-cold gaze. She explained dryly, "I'm talking about the short time you took to transform. I'm not talking about the short time you took to transform. Don't worry about it." The silver snake was so angry that it was about to turn into a dried snake. "You're trying to cover up, all right?" Hei Shinjo quickly changed the topic and sighed, "Prince Charming, you're the best. I didn't even manage to draw chi into my body, but you're already at the first level of Yuan-Chu. How can there be such a huge difference between humans?" Di Baiming knew that she was changing the topic and was in a rage, so he ignored her. Hei Shinjo laughed when she saw that a certain god did not say anything. "Prince Charming, put this clothes into your storage ring. Otherwise, Sha Wuhan will not be able to explain himself." Di Baiming snorted, but he still put the broken clothes into his storage ring. Yun Shujo told Di Baiming to put the spirit beast bag and the 30 yuan into his storage ring. Then, she put the silver snake into her sleeve bag and went back to the camp. The day was filled with anxiety and ups and downs. Hei Shinjo was tired and sleepy. She fell asleep very quickly. A few dark lights flashed in the small silver snake's vertical pupils. As her yuan power increased, some images flashed in her mind. It seemed that she had come to the right ghost region. When the sky was beginning to brighten, Yun Shujo woke up. Although she liked to sleep late, she had to know when. Now that there were so many dangers, how could she still dare to sleep late? When Sha Wuhan woke up, he saw that Yun Shujo was already sitting cross-legged in meditation, trying to draw chi into her body. He couldn't help but be very satisfied. The members of the wolf hunting group were all hard-working people. He didn't want to recruit a lazy person, even a servant couldn't do it. After the two of them had breakfast, they continued on their journey. Yun Shujo cursed in her heart. This Sha Wuhan was either really poor or stingy. He didn't even have a origin beast to carry him, let alone a flying spirit tool. That night, when she was resting, Yun Shujo tried to draw chi into her body again, but she still didn't succeed. Sha Wuhan didn't pay much attention to it. Many people needed a few days or even half a month to draw chi into their bodies, so it was normal for Zhen Meili to fail. Although Hei Shinjo wasn't willing to give up, she felt sleepy and could only close her eyes to sleep. However, in the middle of the night, the small silver snake started to wriggle again. Yun Shujo had no choice but to run to a hidden place with the excuse that she had a stomachache. Then, she admired a certain fruit sprinting again. This time, the certain snake did not waste any time with her. It took out some clothes from its storage ring and put them on. Hei Shinjo said gloomily, "I have to take them off later anyway. What's the point of putting them on?" Chapter 4280 was at least safe. A certain god did not want to say anything right now, because no matter what he said, it was impossible to glue his face together. Hei Shinjo rolled her eyes and said slyly, "Prince Charming, don't tell me that you are going to run back and forth every night in the future? TSK, just for this luck with women, I feel that this trip to the ghost realm is really worth it." Di Baiming squeezed out 2 words from between his teeth, "Shut up." Hei Shinjo snickered before her smile froze. "Prince Charming, have you reached the 2nd level of Yuan-Chu? 1 level every day? That's too depressing." Di Baiming glanced at her. "It's not the 2nd level of Yuan-Chu. That's what I'm talking about. How can one level up every day? If that's the case, I won't let anyone live. I'm at the 3rd level of Yuan-Chu." Hei Shinjo, damn it, she didn't want to talk anymore. She couldn't even draw the chi into her body, and the pretty boy was already at the 3rd level of Yuan-Chu. How could she let anyone live? Seeing Yun Shujia's charming eyes, a certain being wanted to make love to her. However, when he saw her square-headed face and the beard on her chin, all the charm was gone. However, he thought that it was better this way. At least it was safe. Although this time it was longer than yesterday, the certain being quickly turned into a small silver snake. Hei Shinjo curled her lips. "I told you that there was no point in wearing it, right? Aren't you still taking it off now?" Besides, where have I not seen your body? Where have I not touched it? It's unnecessary. A layer of pink appeared on the small silver snake's body. A certain lord scolded angrily, "Shut up. Hurry up and go back to sleep." Hei Shinjo rolled her eyes. She still had the nerve to say that. If you hadn't come out in the middle of the night, would she have come out to gloat? However, it was easy to deal with on the road. If she went to the wolf-killing hunting group, what would happen if the pretty boy transformed in the middle of the night? She had to think of a way. Fortunately, when the pretty boy transformed, there was no dazzling white light like before. Otherwise, there would be no way to hide it. The next day, when the two of them passed by the town, Sha Wuhan said, "Pretty girl, go and buy a set of women's clothes. $30 for a set of shabby women's clothes should be enough. Also, get rid of your beard. Otherwise, it will look really awkward. Moreover, we can reach the camp today, so I can introduce you to everyone." Yun Shijia's heart moved. For the sake of convenience in the future, it was indeed more suitable to change into women's clothes. Therefore, she chose a small shop and picked a set of shabby women's clothes. She put it on the outside of men's clothes. After the beard disappeared, she changed into a woman's hairstyle and walked out of the shop. Sha Wuhan looked at Hei Shinjo, who was wearing women's clothing. The corners of his eyes twitched. Although she looked better than before, she was really ugly. The most important thing was her strong figure. With that square head and big face, she didn't look like a woman no matter how he looked at her. The two of them left the town and walked for half a day. In the evening, they reached the edge of a forest. From afar, they could see several simple houses made of wood. Those wooden houses were basically gathered together. Could it be that there were many hunting groups here? Sha Wuhan brought Yun Shujo to a gathering place of wooden houses. There were 7 or 8 men eating around a fire. When those people saw Sha Wuhan and Yun Shujo, their mouths were wide open in surprise. Their target of surprise was obviously the beautiful Yun Shujo. "Boss, who's behind you?" A short and fat man asked curiously. The rest of the people also looked at Sha Wuhan curiously. Chapter 4281, You Are My Ancestor. Sha Wuhan cleared his throat, only then did he say, "This is a servant that I recruited. In the future, when we go hunting, we can leave her behind to guard the camp. Moreover, she can also help us cook and wash up. This can also reduce our burden." Only then did everyone come to a sudden realization. No wonder their boss recruited an ugly woman without elemental energy. So she was working for them. That short fatty asked again, "Boss, then what's her name? How should we address her?" Sha Wuhan's expression froze. He paused for a moment before saying, "Her name is Jin Meili. From now on, you guys can call her pretty sister." Crack. 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 The bowls in the hands of several people fell to the ground. Fortunately, they were all wooden bowls and weren't afraid of falling. They couldn't believe their ears. What the hell? Jin Meili? How could she call herself Jin Meili with such an honorable appearance? It would be better if she called herself Jin Unattractive. Yun Shujo covered her mouth with her hand and smiled shyly. "Aya, do you think him too good-looking? Is that why you're all stunned?" Those people almost spat out the food they had just eaten. Damn, it was too ugly. Pretty girl, don't take it to heart. They might have eaten too much. Come, let's eat too. Sha Wuhan was still relatively calm. After all, he was used to looking at her, so he wasn't that ugly. Those people all winked at each other, thinking that their boss most likely had a problem with his brain. Even if they found a servant, they shouldn't have found such a trash and ugly monster. They could put their ugly looks aside for now. What could they do with this little bit of elemental energy? If other hunting groups took advantage of their absence to cause trouble, she probably wouldn't even be able to save her own life, right? "Boss, although the words aren't pleasant to hear, fifth brother, I have to say something. This Zhen Meili doesn't have any elemental energy at all. Can she do it? It's fine if we usually hunt, but sometimes we have to walk for 2 or 3 days. She'll definitely follow us. But she doesn't have any spiritual energy. Won't she be a burden to us? A tall and thin man said with a look of disdain. The others also nodded. The short and fat man echoed, "Boss, let's not talk about other things. It's not that you don't know that the people living here are all people who don't care about their lives. If our sworn enemy comes here while we're not here, I'm afraid that she won't be able to save her life." Sha Wuhan glanced at Yun Chuzhou. Seeing that she didn't show any signs of panic, he thought to himself that Zhen Meili was quite calm. He waved his hand and said, "It's not that pretty girl is a useless person who can't cultivate. It's just that she's an orphan and has no one to teach her. Therefore, she doesn't know how to cultivate, so she should be able to cultivate very soon. Besides, she has a strong body and her movement technique is quite flexible. She hasn't been left behind by me while traveling with me these days. Even if we hunt together, she shouldn't be a burden to us. Besides, I won't hide it from you. I only give the beautiful girl 300 yuan a month. I can't find a more suitable slave for this salary." When Yun Chuzhou heard that she was strong, the corner of her eyes twitched. She had never thought that she would be associated with this word. She remembered that when she was traveling, Sha Yuan's speed was sometimes fast and sometimes slow. It turned out that he was testing her body and stamina. It seemed that Sha Wuhan was a rough but careful person. When those people heard that Yun Chuzhou's salary was only 300 yuan, they were speechless because the price was indeed too low. Moreover, she had joined voluntarily. If she really lost her life, it wouldn't be their fault. However, everyone still looked at Yun Chuzhou with disdain. After all, they didn't see any redeeming qualities in this Zhen Meili. It was really a waste of such a good name. He Xinjiu cursed in her heart. "You bunch of snobs. Sooner or later, it'll blind you all." Just as she was cursing in her heart, the little silver snake in her sleeve writhed uneasily. "Yun Chuzhou, you're not my fiancé, you're my ancestor." Chapter 4282 would be a huge loss. Yun Chuzhou was very anxious. There were so many people here. Not to mention that it was not shameful for a pretty boy to run around. The main thing was that if people saw it, they would probably be killed. Go to the forest? Who knew if there was anyone in the forest, so she could not go. Her gaze fell on a few small wooden houses, and then she said, "Brother Sha, my stomach is a little painful. Can I go inside to rest for a while?" Sha Wuhan saw that Yun Chuzhou's forehead was covered in cold sweat and believed her. He pointed at a wooden house and said, "Go inside and rest for a while. I will build a wooden house for you with my brothers. It will be convenient for you to live in the future." Yun Chuzhou thanked Sha Wuhan and entered Sha Yuan's wooden house with her hand on her stomach. She closed the door and let Dog 2 guard the door. Only then did she let out the small silver snake. Almost at the instant she was released, a certain venerable once again put on a show. Yun Chuzhou was not in the mood to admire the handsome man. She lowered her voice and said, "Are you stupid? Didn't it only change at midnight every day? Why did it change at this time today?" A certain venerable felt like he was bickering in his heart. He was not willing either. He explained in a low voice, "I originally controlled the time of the breakthrough, but perhaps because the yuan qi here is a little denser than other places, the yuan qi in my dantian could not be suppressed and I accidentally made a breakthrough." Yun Chuzhou curled her lips. "See? Cultivating too fast won't bring you any benefits. Consolidate your foundation properly and don't be in a hurry to achieve success." Di Baiming could not help but laugh when he heard the sourness in Yun Chuzhou's words. He comforted her, "Don't be anxious. Since your primordial spirit can change at will, your talent in cultivating yuan qi must be excellent. You will soon surpass mine." Yun Chuzhou snorted coldly, "I'm not anxious. I'm just afraid that someone will see your pot during your breakthrough. That is my property." If someone sees it, I will suffer a huge loss. Di Biming knew that she was stubborn and did not point it out. Just as he was about to give a few more instructions, he turned into a small silver snake again. At that moment, Buttface's anxious cry came from outside the door. Yun Shijia's eyes flashed with a fierce look. She put the small silver snake into her sleeve pocket and rushed out. When Yun Shujio arrived outside, she saw that the tall and thin man, fifth and sixth, was encircling Buttface with ill intentions. Sha Wuhan and a few others were not around. They were probably going to chop wood. Fifth saw Yun Shujio come out and said with a smile, "Beautiful girl, you came out just in time. Your elemental pet is just a hybrid, a breed, a dog. It's a waste of food to keep it. Why don't you give it to everyone to satisfy their hunger?" Although the wolf-killing hunting group relied on hunting for a living, the high-level origin beasts they hunted were reluctant to eat and had to be sold. The two saw that although Dog 2 was small, its fur was shiny, and its meat looked very fresh and tender, therefore, they had evil thoughts. Dog 2 was about to explode with anger. Thinking about it, Dog 2 didn't say that it could do whatever it wanted, but now it was forced by these scumbags to ask the little fairy for help. It was really embarrassing. No, it was embarrassing. Yun Shujio protected Dog 2 behind her and said coldly, "Brothers, this origin beast is my savior. Please don't think about it." Lao Wu didn't expect Yun Shujio to refuse so decisively. His face couldn't help but turn ugly. This ugly monster was just a servant, but he actually used such a tone to talk to him. He really didn't know what was good for him. Lao Wu was about to turn hostile when Sha Wuhan and the others returned. He could only glare at Yun Shujio before turning around to help. Chapter 4283 had actually followed them. Yun Shujio narrowed her eyes. This Lao Wu seemed to be very narrow-minded. He must have already hated her. She had to be more careful in the future. Sha Wuhan did not know what had happened before. He thought that the three of them were chatting. He asked with concern, "Pretty girl, are you better?" Yun Shujio nodded and said shyly, "Thank you, big brothers, for helping me build the house. I will definitely work hard in the future." Sha Wuhan and the others turned their heads in unison. There was nothing they could do. Yun Shijia's honorable and shy expression was enough for 10 people to look at for half a month. Sha Wuhan and the others built the wooden house, but Yun Shujio didn't stay idle. She cleaned the camp and washed their bowls and chopsticks. Sha Wuhan and the others saw it and thought that although Jin Meili was ugly, she looked hard-working and not bad. While Yun Shujio was working, she looked at the people around her. From the way they were working, she could tell who was hard-working and who was cunning. That Lao Wu seemed to be busy, but in fact, he was just making a lot of noise and didn't do much work. It was the same for Lao Wu, who was chasing after Buttface with him. Sha Wuhan and the other 5 people looked very honest and quickly built the wooden house. Sha Wuhan even took out some hay and spread it inside the wooden house. He said, "Pretty girl, our conditions here are limited. Just make do with it for now. When we become rich, the conditions will improve." Yun Shujio said a few polite words, and then used the excuse of cultivating to return to the wooden house. This time, she didn't dare to leave Buttface outside. That 5th and 6th brother had ulterior motives, so it was better to be careful. Yun Shujio sat on the hay and let out a long breath. No matter what, she finally had a place to stay for the time being. Buttface said fiercely, "Little fairy, those 2 scumbags are really detestable. When I'm powerful, I'll definitely bite them to death." Yun Shujio glanced at it. "Since you're so ambitious, cultivate well." Buttface narrowed his dog eyes. Did the little fairy think that he was bragging? Although he was very weak now, it would not be long before he became stronger. Seeing that Buttface was obediently cultivating at the side, Yun Shujio also sat cross-legged and began to try to draw qi into her body. She tried a few times but failed. This fellow was very frustrated. Why couldn't she do it? Previously, in the Qingxian continent, because of the strange grass and the heavenly thunder spirit root, she could not cultivate for a long time. Now, the origin energy that she cultivated here was not spirit energy. Moreover, the strange grass did not follow her. Why couldn't she cultivate? This fellow suddenly thought of a possibility, so she looked inside her dantian and saw the situation inside. This fellow almost died from anger. The Guai Chao shook its leaves at her in a smug manner, and the black bead beside it also trembled, and that damned great void mirror also trembled. Damn it, wasn't she in the primordial spirit state now? Why did these three damn things follow her? Shouldn't they be in her dantian and not come out? Why did they follow her primordial spirit to the ghost realm? Hei Shinjo felt as though she was bickering with a dog. What was going on? Yun Shujo was not thinking about the usefulness of these three things, but whether these three foodies would devour her yuan qi. If that was the case, how long would it take for her to cultivate? Her goal in coming to the ghost realm was to find the blazing red glazed tile, but she did not want to stay here for a long time. However, if she could not cultivate for a long time, not to mention obtaining the blazing red glazed tile, she would not even be able to save her life. Chapter 4284 did not know what worry was when Di Biming heard Yun Shujo cursing softly. He comforted her. Things might not be as bad as you think. Although the three of them might have some negative effects, but with them, you also have more life-saving means. Yun Shujo pouted and said, life-saving means? Although they are useful in towering sky continent, they might be useless here. Tell me yourself, what is the use of you? After Yun Shujo asked, she saw that the three animals in her dantian had no reaction at all, and the leaves of the Guai Chao had drooped down. Damn it, she knew it. Her life was so miserable. Seeing Hei Xinjia's sad face, a certain someone was trying to comfort her. However, he heard Yun Shujo mumble, forget it. Since we are here, it's useless to be sad. Besides, it's worth it to see your body, my Prince Charming. A certain someone immediately decided to feed all the so-called sympathy and pity to the dogs. This little rascal never knew what it meant to be sad. The next morning, the members of the wolf-killing hunting group smelled the fragrance of the rice porridge the moment they woke up. Moreover, there was hot water for them to wash up. They immediately felt that Zhen Meili was not bad. During breakfast, Old Five said unhappily, Zhen Meili, your porridge is too thin. Hunting is a physical labor. Are you planning to starve us to death? Lao Lu also agreed, that's right. Boss gave you so much brown rice, but you only put so little. Are you planning to hide the brown rice? Yun Shujo didn't say anything. She just took a pot of black steamed buns from the steamer in the pot and put them on the table. Lao Wu and Lao Lu were embarrassed. They didn't notice that Yun Shujo had heated the steamed buns. If they ate it with the steamed buns, the porridge wouldn't be too thick. In order to get back at her, Lao Lu snorted. It's clear and watery. There's not even a side dish. It's horrible. Yun Shujo still didn't say anything. Instead, she brought over 2 plates of cold wild vegetables. When Lao Lu saw the wild vegetables on the plate, he immediately threw his chopsticks down. Ugly freak, did you do it on purpose? Don't you know that the bitter leaf vegetables taste very bitter? Do you think we're fools? Yun Shujo still didn't say anything. She sat down with a bowl of porridge and picked up a piece of wild vegetables to eat. In the past, this foodie would never have scoffed at such a light meal, but after eating steamed buns for a few days, she felt that such a meal was already very good. Sha Wuhan frowned and said, Lao Lu, this beautiful girl is new here. It's normal that she doesn't know the bitter leaf vegetables. With hot porridge and steamed buns, it's much better than before. Don't be picky. Sixth brother was a little embarrassed by Sha Wuhan's words. He glared at Yun Shujo before continuing to eat. Sha Wuhan was afraid that Yun Shujo would be upset. Although he knew that the bitter leaf vegetables were terrible to eat, he still picked up a chopstick to comfort her. Who would have thought that the mixed bitter leaf vegetables not only were not bitter, but also had a strange fragrance. It was unexpectedly delicious. Sha Wuhan quickly picked up another chopstick and put it in his mouth to taste it carefully. That short fatty, who was also the second brother of the hunting group, saw Sha Wuhan pick up 2 chopsticks in a row, so he curiously picked up a piece of wild vegetables as well. Then, he shouted, "Oh my God, is this really bitter leaf vegetables? It's not bitter at all, and it's quite delicious." The others were skeptical, but after tasting it, they immediately snatched it up. Only 5th and 6th did not eat to save face. The 2 of them looked at Yun Chujo with even more unkind eyes, thinking that Yun Chujo did this on purpose, just to make them lose face. Chapter 4285 Fierce Tiger Hunting Group. Yun Chujo glanced at Old 5 and Old 6's expressions and sneered in her heart. "You want to fight with me? You're courting death." These wild vegetables were picked by her from the edge of the forest. Although she didn't recognize them, she did recognize the Guai Chow. Before dawn, Yun Chujo was woken up by the Guai Chow. The Guai Chow was most likely hungry because it was new and didn't have any medicinal pills. It wanted to eat some medicinal herbs to make do, so it clamored to eat the grass. He Xinjiu had no choice but to wander around the edge of the forest. In the end, the Guai Chow chose this bitter leaf vegetable. He Xinjiu spat it out after eating it. It was too damn bitter. She refused to eat it no matter what. The Guai Chow had no choice but to remind Yun Chujo to blanch it with hot water before eating it. Yun Chujo tried it and found that the bitter leaf vegetable tasted pretty good after blanching the water. Therefore, she made 2 plates of cold food. While everyone was eating, a few sneers suddenly came. "TSK, Boss Sha, your wolf-killing hunting group is getting worse by the day, and now you're actually eating bitter leaf vegetables. Why don't you kneel down and kowtow to beg us? Our boss might agree to let you join our fierce tiger hunting group." Yun Chujo turned around curiously and saw more than 20 men standing not far away. Their faces were full of ridicule. The person in the lead had a scar on his face and his gaze was very vicious. A pretty woman stood beside him. Sha Wuan's face immediately darkened. The other members of the wolf-killing hunting group were also angry. It was obvious that this fierce tiger hunting group was not on good terms with them. The leader of the fierce tiger hunting group, Tu Lai, hugged the woman beside him and kissed her on the face. He said with a fake smile, "Sha Wuhan, what's wrong? Nguyen Lu abandoned you and you found such an ugly monster to be your lover? TSK, what a trash who can't cultivate. You're really not picky." Sha Wuan's eyes turned red. He clenched his fists and said sternly, "Zhen Meili is my slave. Don't talk nonsense. Our wolf hunting squad and your fierce tiger hunting squad don't interfere with each other. Leave our camp quickly." "Zhen Meili? Ha ha ha, I'm dying of laughter. This ugly monster is called Zhen Meili? Ugly people make trouble. It's more like Miss Nguyen Liu's name. Where did she get the courage to call her Zhen Meili? Sha Wuhan, that coward, could only find such an ugly monster. After all, the wolf hunting squad is a bunch of trash." Sha Wuhan and the wolf hunting squad's eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. The short fatty and the others wanted to go up and fight for their lives, but Sha Wuhan stopped them. There was a huge difference in strength between them and the fierce tiger hunting squad. If they acted rashly, they would only fall into their trap. Tu Lai saw that Sha Wuhan had no intention of making a move. He curled his lips and said, "Boss Sha, fine. You really can endure it. There's only half a month left before you have to pay the bounty. If you guys delay this time, TSK, you'll only be chased out of the thorn forest." Sha Wuhan said coldly, "You don't have to worry. We naturally have a way." Tu Lai curled his lips and said, "You stubborn duck. Don't blame me for not being loyal. As long as you hand over that thing, it'll help you pay the bounty. What do you think?" Sha Wuhan said coldly, "I don't understand what you're saying." Tu Lai was a little angry from embarrassment. He said arrogantly, "All right, I want to see how long you can hold on." If any of you want to join me, Tu Lai, I'll welcome you at any time. It's better to follow me and enjoy a good meal than to eat wild vegetables with Sha Wuhan. Chapter 4286 was still as blind as ever. The short fatty and the others scoffed at Tu Lai's words. However, Old 5 and Old 6's eyes flickered a few times. Others did not notice, but He Xinjiu did. He Xinjiu sneered in her heart. Was he planning to climb up the ladder? The fierce tiger hunting group left with wild laughter. The camp was dead silent. The short fatty gritted his teeth and said, "Boss, why did you stop me just now? That bastard Tu Lai needs to be taught a lesson. Not only did he steal your woman, he even humiliated us. Second brother, stop talking." The gentle-looking third brother interrupted the short fatty's words. "Big brother is doing this for our own good. There are only 8 of us, and the fierce tiger hunting squad has over 20 people. If we really fight, we will be the ones at a disadvantage." The short fatty wanted to say more, but Old 5 suddenly asked, "Boss, there is still half a month before we have to pay the human head fee. What do you plan to do?" Sha Wuhan revealed a difficult expression. He sighed and said, "Each of us has 5,000 human head fee, so the 8 of us will get 40,000 low-grade yuan coins. I only have 20,000 low-grade yuan coins here. If we work hard, we will still be able to gather enough. It's just that after we pay the human head fee, our days will be tight again." Old 6 snappily said, "Aren't our days always tight? Other hunting groups drink wine and eat meat, but what about us? Every meal is like a steamed bun. Boss, what exactly does that Tu Lai want? Just give it to him. Otherwise, if he keeps teaming up with other hunting groups to ostracize us, we can only hunt 3rd and 4th rank origin beasts that are not worth much." Sha Wuhan's expression immediately sank. He stared at 6th brother and said, "If you feel that following me isn't satisfactory, you can go and seek refuge with the other hunting groups. I won't stop you." 5th brother glared at 6th brother and said, "Big brother, don't be angry. 6th brother didn't mean that. He's also anxious because of the head fee." The short fatty also tried to mediate the situation. "Right, big brother, don't take it to heart. 20,000 low-grade yuan isn't a particularly large amount. If we're lucky, we can hunt a few 5th and 6th rank origin beasts." 6th brother also said a few words, saying that he didn't mean anything by it. Sha Wuhan's expression was cold. He said indifferently, "It's getting late. Let's go hunt first." The others saw this and didn't say anything else. They could only set off to hunt. Before leaving, Sha Wuhan told Yun Shujiu not to leave the camp and to pay attention to safety. Yun Shujiu nodded and agreed. She watched Sha Wuhan and the others enter the thorny forest. This guy sat on the chair and stuffed hot water-boiled bitter leaf vegetables into his mouth one after another. He couldn't help it. He wouldn't stop until he fed the damn guai chow. Moreover, He Xinjiu still had a trace of luck. Perhaps after she fed the guai chow to its full, she would be able to channel her qi into her body. The slaves from the other camps gathered in groups of 3 to 5 and pointed at Yun Shujiu. Yun Shujiu pretended not to see or hear anything and continued to stuff her mouth. When she had almost finished eating, Yun Shujiu went to the edge of the forest to continue picking the bitter leaf vegetables. Unexpectedly, Nguan Lu twisted her waist and walked up to her. "Ugly freak, you are really good at making Sha Wuhan fall for you." Yun Shujiu ignored her and continued picking the bitter leaf vegetables. Nguan Lu said impatiently, "Ugly freak, didn't you hear me talking to you? Are you deaf?" Yun Shujiu saw that she wouldn't stop, so she could only stand up and say coldly, "Then how should I answer you? Should I admit that I'm good at it, or should I admit that Sha Wuhan is still so blind?" Yun Shujiu emphasized on, "still as blind as before." Nguan Lu was stunned at first, then she understood that Yun Shujiu was mocking her. She said angrily, "Ugly freak, you're courting death." Chapter 4287 Inch I won't kill you. Yun Shujiu narrowed her eyes. If she worked together with Buttface and the small silver snake, it wouldn't be difficult to kill Nuanlu. However, if she was killed, she would provoke the fierce tiger hunting group. She had just arrived, so it was better for her to keep a low profile. She felt that since the fierce tiger hunting group didn't attack directly this morning, they must be afraid. Thinking of this, she said to Nuanlu, "If you are not afraid of Tu Lai coming back to punish you, you can continue to tangle with me. I don't care anyway." Nuanlu's expression changed. She seemed to have thought of something and snorted coldly, "Ugly monster, sooner or later, you will fall into my hands. Let's wait and see." Dog 2 eagerly went to Yunchujia's side and said, "Little fairy, why have you been so abnormal these 2 days? If it were in the past, you would have already cleaned up these dregs." The corners of Yunchujia's mouth curled up. "There's no other way. I'm not strong enough now. Take it slow. There's no rush." Buttface saw the sinister smile on Yunchujia's face. He lit a candle for the fierce tiger hunting group, Old 5, and Old 6. He actually dared to offend the little fairy? "I can't trick you to death." At this time, Silver said in a low voice, "Little Joe, it just so happens that those people aren't here. Let me out. I'll use this time to make a breakthrough." Yunchujio said sourly, "TSK, as expected of a person with a seal. A breakthrough every day. Truly amazing." Di Biming could not help but laugh when he heard her say this. He did not tell her that his elemental energy level had already reached the 6th level of the origin core realm. Yunchujio placed the small silver snake inside the wooden house. Although her lust was stirring, she was afraid that someone would come and cause trouble, so she could only reluctantly stand guard outside the wooden house. Thinking of the perfect body of a certain Guai Chao, this fellow hated Guai Chao. She originally thought that this time she was in the immortal soul state. Without Guai Chao as a jinx, she might be able to come to Kueishui. It was not impossible for her to work hard to get a little bean out. Who would have thought that this damn dog tail would actually follow her? She was so angry. This was because he couldn't bear to see her doing well. After this fellow cursed the Guai Chao a few hundred times, his lecherous heart was mischievous. He crouched at the gap of the wooden house and did not look inside. Who would have thought that he would be noticed by a certain someone inside? With a wave of his hand, Hei Shinjo fell down a fart. Hei Shinjo was so angry. Was he bullying her because she did not have elemental energy? She did not believe that such a talented genius like her would always be so useless. Pretty boy, let's wait and see. The more she thought about it, the angrier she got. She sat down cross-legged and tried to draw qi into her body, but she still got nothing. At night, Sha Wuhan and the others came back dejectedly. Yunchujio didn't need to ask to know that it must be because she didn't get much today. After Yunchujio arranged the dinner, the 6th brother threw the bowl hard. "Zhenmeili, don't you know how to make anything other than steamed buns? What a good-for-nothing." Yunchujio didn't say anything, but she cursed in her heart. "Fuck, you can't die from being struck by lightning." Boom! A purple lightning bolt fell from the sky and struck 6th brother. 6th brother was knocked out, and black smoke was still coming out of his body. Hei Shinjo, did her jinx skill work again? Was 6th brother so vulnerable? Just as Hei Shinjo was in a daze, she saw Sha Wuhan and the rest kneeling on the ground. Hei Shinjo didn't understand and was afraid that something was wrong, so she quickly knelt on the ground as well. She stole a glance and saw that the people from the other camps were also kneeling on the ground. Oh my, what's going on? Chapter 4288, Ghost Ancestor. Just as Hei Shinjo was thinking about it, she saw Sha Wuhan and the rest kowtowing. After kowtowing 3 times each, they stood up and went to treat 6th brother, who was still emitting black smoke. Hei Shinjo was confused, but she could not ask directly. 6th brother woke up very quickly, but he spat out a mouthful of blood. Hei Shinjo was secretly happy. He deserved it. He deserved it. Sha Wuhan frowned and said in a deep voice, Old Six, have you been disrespectful to the ghost ancestor recently? Otherwise, why did you get struck by the heavenly lightning? Old Six said angrily, Big brother, I'm not an ignorant child. How could I be disrespectful to the ghost ancestor? In my opinion, it must be the bad luck brought by Zhen Meili. She's a jinx, otherwise, how could I have been struck by lightning? Yun Shujiu said faintly, Brother Six, you are wrong. If I were a jinx, the heavenly lightning should have struck me. Why would it strike you? Old Six spat out another mouthful of blood after hearing Yun Shujiu's words. He almost fainted from anger. Sha Wuhan frowned, all right, stop talking. Help Old Six into the house to rest. Everyone helped fifth brother into the wooden house. Although he spat out 2 mouthfuls of blood, it was not a big problem. It just looked more tragic. Sha Wuhan and the others settled sixth brother in. Just as they were about to finish eating, Tu Lai came over with a few others. Sha Wuhan, TSK. Even the ghost ancestor can't stand it. Hurry up and hand over that thing, or you'll all be struck by lightning, Tu Lai said arrogantly. Sha Wuhan said coldly, Tu Lai, I've told you before. I have no idea what you're talking about. If you continue to be so aggressive, the 2 of us will activate the ghost contract and fight to the death. Tu Lai's expression suddenly became a little ugly. He said with a fierce expression, Sha Wuhan, good, very good. I'll see how long you can keep your mouth shut. After Tu Lai finished speaking, he left with his men. Everyone was in no mood to eat. After a few quick bites, they put down their chopsticks. Yun Shujiu tidied up as she communicated with Butt Face with her divine sense. What does the ghost ancestor and the ghost contract mean? Butt Face shook his head and explained with his tail wagging, it's rumored that the ghost ancestor is a group of ghosts that cannot enter the reincarnation cycle. Their original destination was to have their souls scattered. However, they met a mysterious person and placed them here. When the ghosts saw that they had regained their bodies, they were ecstatic. However, when they came back to their senses, they realized that the mysterious person was nowhere to be found. They did not even know if it was a man or a woman, so they addressed him as the ghost ancestor. As for the ghost contract, the 2 of them activated the ghost contract in their bodies. Then, the 2 of them fought until one of them died. That was the end. No one was allowed to help. Yun Shujiu frowned. That's not right. Didn't Prince Charming say that the Ghost Clan got their name because of the misunderstanding of the world? Why does it sound like they were originally called the Ghost Clan? Butt Face said weakly, what your excellency said is just a rumor. I didn't dare to refute him. Yun Shujiu pursed her lips. She was clearly the master, but these foodies were more afraid of the gigolo. What the hell? Yun Shujiu suddenly remembered something and could not help but want to bang her head against the wall in frustration. Yuan Shen could break away from the physical body here and live like a normal person. It would be great if she could bring those remnant souls over. Then, they would be able to live like normal people. Chapter 4289 Spirit Soul. Although Yun Shujiu was annoyed, there was nothing she could do. She asked again, you said that you activated the ghost contract in their bodies. What the hell is that? It said that before the ghosts were placed, the ghost ancestor left a soul imprint in their bodies. Although the ghost clan has been reproducing for so many years, they still have the soul imprint of the ghost ancestor in their bodies. However, it's getting weaker and weaker. Activating the soul imprint of the ghost ancestor is equivalent to swearing in front of the ghost ancestor. The ghost clansmen are very respectful to the ghost ancestor, so they naturally don't dare to break the agreement, explained Butt Face. Yun Shujiu nodded. If that's the case, then the ghost ancestor saved those ghosts for another reason. Otherwise, why would he leave a soul imprint in their bodies? Dog 2 said hesitantly, that might not be the case. Anyway, so much time has passed, and that ghost ancestor has never appeared. Moreover, that soul imprint has an important effect. What effect? Yun Shujo raised her eyebrows. After the ghost clansman's essence energy reaches the 9th layer of the origin realm, they can summon spirit souls to help them in battle. Spirit souls can be beast spirits or plant spirits, and this is said to be because of the ghost ancestor's imprint. Yun Shujo was stunned. There's such an effect? Then, Prince Charming and I don't have the ghost ancestor's mark. If we cultivate to the 9th level of the origin realm, won't we be unable to summon spirit souls? But Face thought to himself, you haven't even managed to draw in chi into your body yet, and you're still thinking about spirit souls? You really think far ahead. But this fellow was only thinking in his heart, he didn't dare to say it out loud. Little fairy, because the ghost clan's mark is getting weaker and weaker, not everyone in the ghost clan can summon spirit souls when they reach the 9th level of the origin realm. So even if you and your esteemed self can't summon spirit souls, it's not a big deal. Yun Shujo thought about it and agreed. To put it bluntly, this spirit soul was a helper. It did not matter whether it was there or not. Moreover, her priority now was to draw chi into her body. Other matters could be discussed later. However, she did not know what good things Sha Wuhan had that Tu Lai coveted. However, Sha Wuhan was only a lowly commoner with low elemental energy. He probably did not have anything extraordinary. Tu Lai had not robbed Sha Wuhan openly. He was most likely afraid that Sha Wuhan would destroy that thing, so he used methods to force Sha Wuhan. In the next few days, Sha Wuhan and the rest did not manage to hunt any elemental beasts that they were satisfied with, and the date of paying the human head fee was getting closer and closer. The atmosphere in the camp became more and more stagnant. If they were driven out of Thorn Forest, then they could only go to the wilderness to hunt low-level elemental beasts like the saber-toothed gophers. Their days would be very difficult. Big brother, the day after tomorrow is the day we have to pay the human head fee. Unless we can hunt 2 type 6 origin beasts tomorrow, we won't be able to raise the human head fee. The short fatty said with a frown. Sha Wuhan frowned and gritted his teeth. If we still can't raise the human head fee tomorrow, you guys can join other hunting groups. Your skills are not bad, they will definitely be looking forward to it. When everyone heard this, they immediately said, Big brother, what are you saying? Our lives were saved by you. Wherever you go, we will go. How can there be a reason to separate? That's right. We were born to be members of the wolf hunting group. If we die, we are ghosts of the wolf hunting group. How can we abandon you, big brother? Yun Shujo secretly pursed her lips. You guys are ghosts, all right. However, according to Butt Face, if the ghosts died, their souls would be scattered and they would not even have the chance to reincarnate. This was not even comparable to humans. Chapter 4290 The little silver snake went missing. When Sha Wuhan heard everyone say this, his eyes turned slightly red and he said in a hoarse voice, Good, good. I, Sha Wuhan, am really lucky to have a bunch of brothers like you. Tomorrow, well, take a gamble. I'll distract the fierce tiger hunting group while you guys go inside to hunt. We'll definitely be able to get through this crisis. Although everyone felt that the plan to kill Sha Wuhan was a little risky, they had no other choice but to take the risk. Yun Shujo noticed that Old 5 and Old 6 exchanged a glance. Her heart stirred. Could it be that these 2 scumbags wanted to do something bad? Hei Xinjia's eyes flickered. She did not have elemental energy now. If something happened to the wolf hunting squad, she would really have nowhere to go. Hence, she could not just watch Old 5 and Old 6 succeed. Hence, when everyone entered the wooden house to rest, Yun Shujo left Little Snake and Butt Face in the wooden house. She transformed into a commonly seen abdominal pattern black ant and sneaked into the wooden house that Old 5 and Old 6 shared. Old 5 lowered his voice and said, Old 6, I've already found an opportunity to tell Tu Lai the news. Tomorrow, the 2 of us and the fierce tiger hunting squad will work together to control the others. Sha Wuhan can only use that thing to exchange for it. By then, we can be considered to have a firm foothold in the fierce tiger hunting squad. Fifth brother, alright, I'll listen to you. I've had enough of this for a long time. Other hunting groups have big bowls of wine and big chunks of meat, and there are women playing with them. But what about us? Eating steamed buns and eating porridge every day. It's not easy for a woman to come here, and she's so fucking ugly. Just looking at her makes me sick to my stomach, old six cursed. The two of them then discussed some specific matters. Yun Shujo sneered in her heart. Tomorrow, she would let these two ingrates show their true colors. Just as Yun Shujo was about to continue listening to what the two of them were saying, Dog 2's terrified voice came from her divine sense. Little fairy, come back quickly. The venerable one has disappeared. Yun Shujo was startled. What did he mean by the venerable one had disappeared? She quickly crawled back to her wooden house and saw that only Dog 2 was left in the wooden house. The small silver snake had disappeared without a trace. But Face did not wait for Yun Shujo to return to her human form as he anxiously said, Little fairy, after you left, His Excellency said that he could no longer suppress the elemental energy in his body and asked me to protect him. Naturally, I did not dare to refuse. Who would have thought that His Excellency would suddenly disappear in front of me after sitting cross-legged and meditating for a while? Yun Shujia's head buzzed. However, she quickly forced herself to calm down and asked Butt-Face about the incident again. She frowned. There were no signs of an attack, and the gigolo didn't show any signs of struggling. How could he suddenly disappear? Butt-Face was anxious and afraid. He was afraid that Yun Shujo would blame him. His eyes kept rolling. Suddenly, his eyes lit up and he asked, Little fairy, what level is your excellency at now? Yun Shujo didn't know why Butt-Face suddenly asked such a question, but she still said, it was the 8th level of the Yuanshu realm before. Why are you asking this? Butt-Face quickly said, if it was the 8th layer of the Yuan dynasty, then this breakthrough should have reached the 9th layer of the Yuan dynasty. And once you reach the 9th layer of the Yuan dynasty, you can summon a spirit soul. Your Excellency might have gone to choose a spirit soul. Yun Shujo was so angry that she wanted to strangle Butt-Face to death. You idiot. The gigolo doesn't even have the mark of the ghost ancestor. Summon my ass. And you want to choose a spirit soul? Do you think that summoning a spirit soul is to buy cabbage at the market? Chapter 4291 was heartbroken. Butt-Face said aggrievedly, Little fairy, you only know one thing, but you don't know the other. Although the Venerable One doesn't have the Ghost Clan's mark, he used to be the Yen Clan Xingzun. The Yen Clan, the Ghost Clan, and the Demon Clan all have some similarities, so it's not strange that the Venerable One can summon spirit souls. Although most spirit souls can be directly summoned by the Ghost Clan, there are some spirit souls whose bodies are bound and need to be summoned to claim them personally. Since the Venerable One is so awesome, perhaps the spirit souls chosen by him are very special. That's why he brought your excellency in. Yun Shujo was skeptical. She stared at Butt-Face's eyes for a long time and only believed him when she saw that he did not look guilty at all. If what Butt-Face said was true, it could explain why the pretty boy disappeared into thin air. Where do the spirit souls live? Butt-Face looked confused. Then I don't know. The spirit souls that are summoned can only stay in the host's spiritual sense and cannot go back. Moreover, no one has ever learned from the spirit souls where they came from. Yun Shujo sat on the hay. If the pretty boy had really gone to the place where the spirit souls were, all she could do was to cultivate to the 9th level of the origin realm as soon as possible. Perhaps, she might have a chance to go there to look for the pretty boy. Of course, the pretty boy might soon come out with the spirit souls. Thinking of this, her originally nervous mood eased a little. She recalled that Di Biming had told her several times that he wouldn't die. At first, she thought that he was comforting her, but later, she realized that Di Biming was extremely serious. Little Joe, no matter when, where, or what the situation is, you have to believe me. I won't die. Yun Shujo thought of what Tower Master Luochen had said to her. What if everyone wants him to die? Her heart ached. Although she didn't know Di Biming's true identity, she was certain that Tian Dao, or more accurately, the human heart, wouldn't allow such an immortal person to exist. Therefore, he must have suffered an unimaginable calamity before, and he must have also suffered inhuman torture. But Face saw Yun Chujia's face instantly filled with tears, and he couldn't help but panic. That little fairy, don't be sad. Your Holiness will be fine. Don't worry, Your Holiness has left. From now on, but Face, will protect you. I guarantee that no one will bully you. Yun Chujia's heart, which was so painful that it was difficult to express, eased up a little after being interrupted by Butt Face. She asked, is there any way to forcefully draw qi into your body? Initially, although she was anxious, she was not too anxious. However, she had to reach the 9th layer of the origin realm as soon as possible. Only then could she find the missing Di Biming. But Face hesitated for a moment, gritted his teeth, and said, it's not that there's no way. It's just that the risk is a little high. Little fairy, are you sure you want to try? Yun Shujo did not say anything. However, when Butt Face saw her determined gaze, he knew that she had already made up her mind. It could only continue. I heard that when some ghost clans are on the verge of death, the elemental energy in their bodies will soar. They can even successfully summon people who originally could not summon spirit souls. This is just a rumor. I don't know if it can be trusted. Yun Shujo rolled her eyes speechlessly. Only a fool would do this. She reckoned that before her potential was fully unleashed, she would die first. Besides, she was a human and not a member of the ghost clan. Would this method work? However, she thought of Di Biming, who had disappeared without a trace. She gritted her teeth. Should she give it a try? Chapter 4292, The Existence of Awesomeness and Lightning. Yun Shujo glanced around the room. There was a kitchen knife in the corner. Yun Shujo had put it in the room for self-defense. She walked over, picked up the kitchen knife, and pointed it at her neck a few times, but she didn't do it. In the end, she threw the kitchen knife to Butt Face. Butt Face, you do it. Butt Face shivered. Little fairy, I don't dare. You piece of trash. Hurry up. If you don't chop me, I'll chop off your dog head. Hey, Shinjo said fiercely. Butt Face had no choice but to pick up the kitchen knife with his claws. He gritted his teeth and cut a shallow wound on Yun Shujia's neck. Then, Butt Face was stunned to see the wound disappear in an instant. Yun Shujo saw Dog 2's stunned face and scolded angrily, what are you still standing there for? Row. Little fairy, I row, but, Dog 2 was a little shocked, so it stuttered and didn't know what to say. It picked up the kitchen knife with a trembling hand and cut Yun Shujia's neck again. Then, it saw the wound disappear in an instant as if nothing had happened. Its dog eyes were wide open. Then, it seemed to have thought of something. It threw the kitchen knife on the ground and its eyes lit up. Little fairy, you are awesome this time. You are so awesome that you are not human. Yun Shujo, just as she was about to teach Butt Face a lesson, she heard Butt Face say excitedly, Little fairy, you are an old fart. Speak human language. Yun Shujo was so angry that she wanted to strangle this idiot to death. Butt Face was really too excited. He shook his head and wagged his tail as he said, Little fairy, you can change at will. So whether it's getting injured or cutting off your head, it doesn't hurt you at all. You're simply an awesome and lightning existence in this ghost realm. You are not afraid of death at all. In other words, you can't die at all. Yun Shujo opened her mouth wide and then jumped up. Yes, she could change her body at will. There was no question of whether she would die or not. She was simply begging for food with a treasure bowl. She was so stupid. She was actually afraid of this and that. What was there to be afraid of? She wasn't even afraid of death, so what was there to be afraid of? If this fellow wasn't afraid of being heard by others, she would have laughed out loud 3 times. With this heaven-defying skill, what was there to be afraid of? However, she still felt that she shouldn't be too smug in her excitement. After all, she didn't know much about the ghost realm. Although she could change her body at will, she could also turn her body into several light spots. However, if someone in the ghost realm knew of some evil method that could trap her or kill the light spots, she would have nowhere to cry. Therefore, although this skill was heaven-defying, she couldn't use it as she had no other choice. Now, the problem came. Although she had discovered a heaven-defying skill of her own, if she didn't have elemental energy, even if others couldn't kill her, she couldn't kill them either. Therefore, she still had to think of a way to cultivate. Yun Shujiu calmed down a little. She felt that listening to Dog 2's method previously was simply stupid. In times of danger, it could indeed stimulate one's potential. However, out of 10,000, perhaps only one could stimulate one's potential. The remaining 9,999 were all dead. She had also been desperate and had lost her rationality. Fortunately, her constitution was special. Otherwise, she would have died just like that. She was simply a laughing stock. Chapter 4293 had finally succeeded. Dog 2 also knew that it had come up with a bad idea just now. It was afraid that Yun Shujiu would settle the score later. It rolled its eyes and said, "Little fairy, I think that you can't cultivate. The problem must be those 3 freeloaders. You still have to start with them." This fellow thought that if he died, his fellow Daoist would not die. No matter what, he had to throw the blame out first. Yun Shujiu didn't have the time to settle the score with Dog 2. She also felt that she couldn't cultivate. The root of the problem was still Guai Chao and the other 2. She forced herself to regain her usual calmness and sorted out the recent events. Only then did she look inside her dantian. Guai Chao immediately swayed its leaves to flatter her. Yun Shujiu said coldly, "The gigolo is missing now. You should know how important the gigolo is to me, so I don't have time to waste with you. If you don't want to fight to the death, then restrain yourself and let me cultivate normally. Since you followed me here, you must have something to ask. I promise you, as long as I can cultivate normally, I will help you achieve your wish." Guai Chao stopped swaying, but the great void mirror and the black bead did not have any reaction. Yun Shujiu did not urge them. After a moment, the great void mirror and the black bead finally trembled slightly. Guai Chao also shook its leaves. Yun Shujiu knew that they had compromised. It was not that she did not think of pressuring the 3 of them to eat their fill for free, but firstly, she did not have full confidence. She was afraid that it would backfire. Secondly, because of the small silver snake, she did not feel a sense of urgency. She wanted to feed the Guai Chao until it was full. She should be able to cultivate. She had to admit that humans were dependent. No matter how strong He Xinjiu was and how independent she was, with Di Biming by her side, she unknowingly had a backbone. Hence, she was a little lazy. After Yun Shujiu convinced the 3 freeloaders to eat their fill, she immediately sat cross-legged and meditated. In an instant, Yuan Qi entered Yun Shujiu's body and entered her dantian along her meridians. However, the 3 Guai Chao did not devour her like how they devoured the power of lightning. Instead, they did not move at all as if they despised her. Yun Shujiu's heart moved. No wonder they did not allow her to cultivate previously. It seemed like they did not like this Yuan Qi. She thought about it. If her Yuan power increased, then after returning to her main body, her Yuan Shen would become stronger. Could it be that as her Yuan Shen became stronger, it was possible to expel the Guai Chao and the others from her dantian? Was that why they stopped her from cultivating Yuan power? The more Yun Shujiu thought about it, the more she felt that this guess was reliable. She could not help but become excited. Putting everything else aside, as long as she expelled the Guai Chao from her dantian, she would be able to have sex with a gigolo and give birth to a monkey. Because of this motivation, He Xinjiu spent the entire night cultivating and broke through one after another, directly rising to the third level of the Yuanchu realm. Although Yun Chujiu was very happy, she had suddenly become the third level of the Yuanchu realm. How was she going to explain it to everyone? If only she could display her elemental energy level as the first level of the Yuanchu realm. Just as Yun Chujiu was thinking about it, Buttface exclaimed, "Little fairy, why has your elemental energy level become the first level of the Yuanchu realm?" Yun Chujiu was stunned at first, then with a thought, Dog 2 said in surprise, your elemental energy level has become the second level of the origin core realm again." Yun Chujiu was simply overjoyed. So she could freely adjust her elemental energy level, but she could only keep a low profile but not high profile. But it was not bad, at least she could be used to pretend to be a pig to eat a tiger. Dog 2 felt that this little girl in front of it was simply a monster. It then thought of old 5 and old 6's plans that Yun Chujiu overheard, and lit a candle in its heart for them. There was a good show to watch. Chapter 4294, Scheming Dog 2. Yun Chujiu adjusted her elemental energy level to the first layer of the origin core realm. Out of habit, she reached into her sleeve pocket, wanting to tease the little silver snake. However, her hand was empty. Only then did she remember that the little silver snake had disappeared. Yun Chujiu's originally happy smile instantly dimmed. A moment later, she braced herself and left the wooden house, starting to prepare breakfast. While Yun Chujiu was cooking porridge, she suddenly thought of something. Her gaze landed on Buttface, who was currently having fun. "Buttface, what's your elemental energy level now?" Buttface blinked his dog eyes, but he still did not dare to lie. He said weakly, "No, not much. It's only at the 7th rank." Yun Chujiu snorted coldly. "Looks like you also have a way to hide your elemental energy level, right?" Seeing that Dog 2 did not utter a word, Yun Chujiu knew that this fellow had tacitly agreed. She had discovered that this scheming dog was really scheming. If she did not suddenly feel that something was amiss, she would really have thought that it was still at level 3. The reason why Yun Chujiu felt that something was amiss was because she felt that she could break through to level 3 in one night. Dog 2 was an ancient fierce beast, and it had come to the ghost domain before. There was no reason that it had not broken through even after so many days. Yun Chujiu ignored Dog 2 and continued to prepare breakfast. Dog 2 sneakily glanced at Yun Chujiu. Seeing that she had no intention of settling the score later, it heaved a sigh of relief. It had no other choice. If others saw it cultivating so quickly, they would definitely suspect it. As today was the last day to raise the human head fee, the members of the wolf-killing hunting group also woke up very early. With a glance, the short fatty saw that not only was there elemental energy undulations on Yun Chujiu's body, she was actually already at the first level of the Yuanchu realm. He could not help but exclaim in surprise, "Pretty girl, you successfully induced qi into your body?" Yun Chujiu's square-headed face revealed an excited and somewhat shy smile. "Yes, I suddenly succeeded last night." When the short and fat man saw Yun Chujiu's honor, the corners of his mouth twitched. Fortunately, he was already used to it. Otherwise, he probably would not have wanted to eat breakfast. When Sha Wuhan and the others heard the short and fat man's words, their gazes also landed on Yun Chujiu. They all came over to congratulate her. Lao Wu and Lao Lu looked at each other. They thought to themselves, so what if she channeled qi into her body? This ugly freak had previously offended them. After she dealt with Sha Wuhan and the others, she would come back and kill her. During breakfast, Yun Chujiu said to Sha Wuhan, "Brother Sha, I'll go hunting with you later." Before Sha Wuhan could say anything, the short fatty said, "Pretty girl, although you're now at the first layer of the Yuanchu realm, you're still too weak. You'd better take care of the house." Yun Chujiu sighed and said, "Tomorrow is the last day to pay the head fee. Today is very crucial. With more people, we can always have more help, right? Although my elemental energy is low, my body is strong. Maybe I can help. The short and fat man sneered and said, "Pretty girl, it's not that my words are unpleasant. No matter how strong your body is, it can't make up for the difference in elemental energy. If you follow us, you will be our burden instead." The others also echoed one after another. On the contrary, Old 5 and Old 6, who usually did not get along well with Yunchujo, did not say anything. The two of them could not wait for Yunchujo to follow them. When the time came, they would directly kill her, which would save them a lot of trouble. In the end, Sha Wuhan made the final decision. "Pretty girl, we appreciate your kindness, but considering that you have just reached the first layer of Yuanshu, you should stay in the camp." Hearing that, Yunchujo did not say anything more. Anyway, she had a way to follow them even if they did not let her go. Chapter 4295 was followed by a string of poisonous stinger ghost bees after breakfast. Sha Wuhan and the others got up and left. Yunchujo said to Buttface, "Find a place to hide. I'll follow you to take a look." Ever since Buttface knew that Hei Shinjo was an invincible existence, he was not worried about her safety at all. He said eagerly, "Little fairy, don't worry. Although I'm not as powerful as you, I can still save my life." Yunchujo believed what Buttface said. This guy was so scheming that he definitely had a way to save his life. After observing for a few days, Yunchujo found that poisonous stinger ghost bees often appeared at the edge of the thorny forest. According to Short Fatty, the poisonous stinger ghost bee was only a rank 1 origin bug and was not worth much. Moreover, its stinger was poisonous. No one in the hunting group would hunt poisonous stinger ghost bees. Therefore, Yunchujo transformed into a ghost wasp and flew towards the thorny forest. However, this guy had never transformed into a winged one before. Therefore, he flew unsteadily as if he would fall at any moment. Buttface could not bear to look at him. He was very suspicious. He reckoned that Sha Wuhan and the others were already killed before she reached her destination. Hei Shinjo flew unsteadily for a while and finally flew in a decent manner. This guy thought to himself that there was actually no benefit to having wings. It was quite tiring to fly. The wings had to be flapped continuously. It was very tiring. On the way, she met a few of her own kind. The poisonous stinger ghost bees looked at Yunchujo curiously and followed behind Hei Shinjo. Hei Shinjo felt like she was cursing a dog in her heart. Was there something wrong with these poisonous stinger ghost bees? Wasn't it better to fly separately? Why did they have to follow her? How could she know that although these poisonous stinger ghost bees lived in groups, they were different from other bees? There was not only one queen in each group, but also many female bees. Even so, the number of female bees was much less than that of male bees. The poisonous stinger ghost bee that Hei Shinjo had coincidentally transformed into was a female bee. Hei Shinjo looked at the string of poisonous stinger ghost bees following behind her and was so angry that she was twitching. She wanted to do something bad. How could she do something bad secretly by following a string of poisonous stinger ghost bees? However, this fellow rolled his eyes. Although these poisonous stinger ghost bees were very annoying, they might be able to help her. After Sha Wuhan and the others entered the thorny forest, they wanted to continue hunting for origin beasts above Tier 5. As expected, they were stopped by 2 fierce tiger hunting squad members. The 2 of them said with a fake smile, "Stop. The front isn't a place you can go. Don't look for trouble." Sha Wuhan said with a sullen face, "Bring me to Tu Lai. I have something to say to him." The 2 of them looked at each other before saying, "Seems like you've thought it through. Let's go then." When the short fatty and the rest saw that the 2 of them had left with Sha Wuhan, they could not help but feel delighted. They had thought that it would be very troublesome, but they had not expected things to go so smoothly. They checked their surroundings, but there were no other fierce tiger hunting group members around. They immediately headed towards the depths of Thorn Forest. Old Five revealed a cold smile. A bunch of idiots. The short fatty and the rest quickly encountered a Type 6 scarlet-eyed savage bear. Everyone was overjoyed. Due to its huge size, the price of a scarlet-eyed savage bear was higher than an ordinary Type 6 origin beast. If they killed it, they could basically raise enough money to pay the human head fee. After a bitter battle, they finally killed the scarlet-eyed savage bear. Before they could react, Fifth Brother put the red-eyed savage bear into his storage ring. The short fatty and the others didn't pay much attention to it. In any case, Fifth Brother had been keeping all the prey for the past few days. Chapter 4296, Swarm Attack. Old Five and Old Six exchanged a look and then whistled. Stumpy said in puzzlement, "Old Five, why are you whistling when you have nothing to do? We're exhausted now, and it would be bad if we attract other origin beasts or other hunting groups." Old Five smiled lightly and did not reply. Stumpy felt that Old Five was strange today. Just as he was about to say something, he saw more than 10 fierce tiger hunting group members surrounding them with malicious intentions. Short Fatty and the others hurriedly stood up. Before they could ask what these people wanted to do, Old Five and Old Six suddenly attacked. Short Fatty, who was closest to the two of them, was the first to bear the brunt and was controlled by the two of them. During the hunting process just now, Old Five and Old Six did not put in any effort. Hence, their elemental energy and physical strength were much more abundant than Short Fatty and the others. Although the remaining four struggled with all their might, they were still tied up by the fierce tiger hunting squad with ropes in the end. Short Fatty looked at Old Five and Old Six and was simply unable to contain his anger. "Old Five, Old Six, what do you mean by this?" Old Six curled his lips. "What do you mean? Don't you understand even now? You're really as stupid as Sha Wuhan. Do you know why Brother Five kept all his prey in his storage ring? Just to trick you, a bunch of idiots. You deserve to be implicated by Sha Wuhan." The short fatty was simply aggrieved. He glared at Old Five and Old Six with red eyes. "Your lives were saved by Brother, but now you're colluding with the fierce tiger hunting group. Do you still have the right to call people?" Old Six looked a little embarrassed. Old Five said with a sneer, "Anyone can say that, but in this world, survival is the most important thing. Moreover, we don't want to kill Sha Yuan's life. As long as he obediently hand over the thing, I believe that Commander 2 won't take his life." Bullshit. It's clearly you guys who are afraid of death, yet you still say such high-sounding words. We're really blind. We still treat you guys as brothers. The short fatty cursed angrily. The short fat man and the others felt that they were doomed today. They originally thought that the plan was very smooth, but they didn't expect that the other party would play along. Even if Boss Sha wasn't killed by the other party would still use their lives to threaten Boss Sha. Even if Boss Sha handed over the things, Tu Lai probably wouldn't let them off. At this time, dozens of poisonous stinger ghost bees flew towards a fierce tiger hunting group member. One of the poisonous stinger ghost bees had a crafty look in its small eyes as it rushed towards that person's eyes. The person didn't expect that these first-rank ghost wasps would dare to provoke a cultivator. He cried out in pain, "My eyes. It hurts so much. Save me." The others were also shocked, but they didn't pay too much attention to it. It was just a first-rank demonic insect. With a wave of their hands, these ghost wasps would all die. What surprised them was that these ghost wasps were very smart. Once they attacked, they would fly into the air. They could only stare and couldn't do anything to hurt them. However, once they stopped, they would fly over and launch a sneak attack, making everyone very passive. However, as time passed, the ghost wasps fell into a disadvantage. A few of them were swept by the wind of their palms and turned into meat paste. No one noticed that one of the stinger wasps that had been flattened once again flew up with a buzzing sound, and it was even more lively than before. Chapter 4297 Poisonous Wasp 9 The resurrected poisonous wasp flew towards Old Five's eyes. Old Five was very alert and quickly swung his palm towards the poisonous wasp. The poisonous wasp was swept by the palm wind and fell to the ground with a wobble. Old Five snorted coldly and walked over, wanting to completely kill the poisonous wasp. Unexpectedly, the poisonous wasp that was already on its last breath suddenly pounced towards his face. Old Five originally thought that the ghost wasp was already half dead. He didn't expect it to suddenly counterattack. Although it avoided his eyes, its nose was ruthlessly pierced by the poisonous sting. Old Five covered his nose and cried out, retreating to the back. Disdain flashed in the eyes of the ghost wasp, and it flew into the swarm to continue fighting. The fierce tiger hunting group members were very anxious because of the stinger ghost wasps. Although their spiritual power was much higher than those stinger ghost wasps, those stinger ghost wasps were obviously toying with them. Unknowingly, they were drawn away by those stinger ghost wasps. A faint light flashed in the eyes of the stinger ghost wasp that had come back from the dead. It buzzed and flew to the front of the short fatty. The short fatty closed his eyes. It was over. He was now tightly bound. He could only let the needle ghost wasp attack him. When the needle ghost wasp saw the short fatty's heroic appearance, it could not help but laugh. Its two front claws suddenly turned into two small saws, cutting the short fatty's rope with a swoosh. The short fatty was completely dumbfounded. Although he did not see what was going on, there was no one on his side here. It was definitely the needle ghost wasp that helped him break the rope. How did it do it? Why did it help him? However, now was not the time to study this. It was more important to escape. The short and fat man hurriedly took out a knife from his storage ring to help others cut the rope. However, he was seen by sixth brother. He cried out in surprise, "Fifth brother, second brother has broken the rope. Quickly catch him." The short and fat man gritted his teeth in hatred. However, he had no choice but to fight with sixth brother and fifth brother. He knew that he had to stall for a little longer, so that the strange poisonous stinger ghost bee would have time to break the ropes of the others. Therefore, the short fatty roared and activated all of his strength, blocking the attacks of the two people in an instant. When the poisonous bee 9 saw this, she looked at the short fatty in a new light. She did not stay idle and secretly cut the ropes of the other 4 people. The 4 people were the same as the short fatty. Although they were a little puzzled as to why the ropes would break by themselves, they did not have the time to think too much. They immediately took out their weapons and met up with the short fatty. Even so, the fierce tiger hunting group, together with 5th and 6th, had twice the number of people as the short fatty and the others. It was too difficult to win. When the fierce tiger hunting group saw that the short fatty and the others had escaped, they immediately ignored the poisonous stingers and ghost bees. They all surrounded them, wanting to regain control of the 5 people. How could the poisonous stinger ghost bees let them get what they wanted? They immediately rushed towards the face of one of them without any regard for their own safety. When the other poisonous stinger ghost bees saw their beloved doing this, they immediately followed suit and rushed towards the face of those people. This action was no different from committing suicide, but in order to win the favor of a beauty. These poisonous stinger ghost bees also went all out. Although a few members of the fierce tiger hunting group were stung, more than 10 poisonous stinger ghost bees were also smashed into meat paste, including poisonous bee 9. Chapter 4298, The bee trap. The drones thought that Wasp 9 had been killed. Just as they were about to disperse, they were pleasantly surprised to see Wasp 9 flying out from the bushes again. Those poisonous stinger ghost bees were quite low in intelligence, so they didn't feel anything wrong and once again followed Wasp 9 to charge into the formation. As for the members of the fierce tiger hunting group, they saw that these poisonous stinger ghost bees were all the same. How could they tell which was which? Therefore, no one noticed that Wasp 9 had been resurrected again and again. The poisonous Wasp 9 relied on the fact that he was a pervert who couldn't die and stabbed several people. Very soon, more than half of the members of the fierce tiger hunting squad were stabbed by the poisonous stingers, even if they didn't pierce their eyes. However, the poison also greatly weakened their fighting strength. Their heads were swollen like pig heads from being stung. They were in a very sorry state. They were so angry that they almost fainted. These poisonous stingers and ghost bees usually didn't attack cultivators. They didn't know what was wrong with them today that they wanted to make things difficult for them. However, the short fatty and the others saw a glimmer of hope. The more they fought, the braver they became. As long as they persevered until Sha Wuhan rushed over, they weren't afraid of these people. This was because, firstly, Sha Wuhan's spiritual power was higher than Tu Lai's. Secondly, Tu Lai was afraid that Sha Wuhan would destroy the things in his hands, so he definitely didn't dare to tangle with them. Thirdly, there were more than 20 hunting squads in Thorn Forest. If Tu Lai did not have full confidence, he would not dare to fight to the death with the wolf hunting squads. At this moment, the sound of footsteps came from afar. Sha Wuhan, Tu Lai, and the others had arrived. Sha Wuhan was rough, but there were details. Although he did not react at that time, when he saw that only half of Tu Lai's men were left, he immediately realized that he had fallen into a trap. Tu Lai did not dare to act forcefully, so he could only let Sha Wuhan come here. He felt that this was not a big deal. In any case, according to the estimation of the time, Fifth Brother and the others had already succeeded. When the time came, he would use Shorty and the others to threaten them. Sha Wuhan was the most loyal person, so he was not afraid that Sha Wuhan would not comply. However, when he saw the situation in front of him, he was so angry that his nose almost went crooked. Although Shorty and the others had many wounds on their bodies, they were much better compared to those pig heads of the fierce tiger hunting squad. What the hell was going on? A member of the fierce tiger hunting squad cursed, "Commander, we had already controlled these 5 people. Who knew that a group of poisonous stinger ghost bees would fly over and attack us for no reason, causing us to be in such a sorry state?" When Poisonous Bee 9 heard his words, he was afraid that the remaining poisonous stinger ghost bees would lose their lives as well. He immediately brought his admirers and flew away. Poisonous Bee 9 felt that since Sha Wuhan had come, Tu Lai would be cautious. He reckoned that the short fatty and the others would be able to escape unscathed. In that case, her task now was to think of a way to collect the human head fee. A servant like her did not need to pay the human head fee. Other than her, there were 6 people left in the wolf-killing hunting group. Each of them had 5,000, which was 30,000 low-grade yuan coins. Last time, Sha Wuhan said that he only had 20,000 low-grade yuan coins. These days, the prey were all in the hands of that ingrate fifth, so he could only hunt a 6th-grade demon beast. Therefore, this guy brought a group of admirers to walk around the thorny forest. He had only one goal, which was to attract enough admirers and then hunt a 6th-grade yuan beast. This fellow had tried to use the beast taming technique to contract these poisonous stinger ghost bees, but found that it had no effect. Presumably, the beast taming technique was useless against origin beasts, so he could only use the bee trap. Chapter 4299 Jin Meili ran away on the other side. The short fatty loudly said to Sha Wuhan, "Big brother, old 5th and old 6th, these 2 ingrates, have already pledged their allegiance to Tu Lai. We have all been deceived by them." Sha Wuhan had already guessed a little when he saw the situation on the scene. He did not say anything and instead raised his saber and approached the people surrounding the short fatty. Those people were intimidated by Sha Wuhan's killing intent and could not help but open a path for him. Tu Lai gritted his teeth. He estimated in his heart what the chances of winning were if he forcefully made a move. At this moment, Lao Wu said to Tu Lai in a flattering manner, "Commander Tu, the rank 6 demonic beast they killed and the demonic beast they killed recently are all in my storage ring. They won't be able to gather enough money for the human head fee tomorrow. Tu Lai narrowed his eyes and said to Sha Wuhan, you heard it, right? Even if I spare you today, you have to get out of Thorn Forest tomorrow. Have you thought it through? Sha Wuhan snorted coldly, don't bother. We have our own ways. Although Tu Lai was unwilling, he could only let Sha Wuhan and the others leave. Anyway, if they couldn't pay the human head fee tomorrow, they could only lower their heads to him. After Sha Wuhan and the others left the encirclement, the short fatty and the others were still going to hunt. Sha Wuhan waved his hand and said, all of you are injured. Even if we can kill a few low-level origin beasts, it won't be of any help. Moreover, if Tu Lai is desperate, it won't be easy. Let's go back to the camp first. Hearing this, the short fatty and the others could only follow Sha Wuhan back to the camp. Big brother, where did Zhenmeili go? And her dog is missing too. The short fatty looked around but didn't see Yun Chuzhou. Sha Wuhan frowned, maybe she went to the toilet? The pretty girl's stomach doesn't seem to be very healthy. After a while, when the crowd saw that Yun Chuzhou hadn't returned, the short fatty said angrily, I know. This Zhenmeili must have thought that we couldn't gather enough money tomorrow, so she ran away. How heartless. That's right. To think that we still treated her like a sister. We built her a wooden house and brought her some wild fruits to eat. I didn't expect that she would run away at this time. It's really a case of everyone running away in the face of a great disaster. This Zhenmeili looks like a simple and honest person, but she's actually a snobbish person. Sha Wuhan's expression was very ugly. He thought that he had a good eye for people, but today, he suffered a series of blows. First, Old 5 and Old 6 joined Tu Lai, and then even Zhenmeili, whom he had recruited, ran away. Sha Wuhan thought of the storage ring and origin beast bag that he had half sold and half given to Yun Chuzhou, and felt a chill in his heart. It seemed that he had really made a mistake. Soon, the sky darkened, and everyone's mood was gloomy. They did not even have the mood to eat. Sha Wuhan's mouth opened a few times. Finally, he said, our wolf-killing hunting group originally had the smallest number of people, and now Old 5 and Old 6 have defected to Tu Lai. Even if we can barely scrape together the human head fee tomorrow, we still can't pay next month's human head fee. So, we'd better disperse. The short fatty was about to say something. Sha Wuhan waved his hand and said, no need to say any more. Over the past year or so, I've dragged you guys down. I still have 20,000 low-grade yuan coins here. You guys can split it with me. Then, you can join other hunting groups tomorrow. At this moment, someone suddenly said leisurely, so what if we have fewer people? Fewer people has the advantage of having fewer people. I think it's a good thing that we don't have a black sheep. The short fatty looked up and exclaimed, Zhenmeili? Didn't you run away? Why are you back? Chapter 4300 Three-eyed ghost wolf Sha Wuhan and the others also looked towards the source of the sound. They saw Yun Chuzhou strolling over from the edge of the forest. She even followed the yellow puppy. Yun Chuzhou curled the corners of her lips and said with a smile, who said that I ran away? Am I a person who doesn't care about loyalty? I just went to settle some matters. The short and fat man and the others were all stunned. She was clearly still the same big, square-headed, and ugly freak, but for some reason, the feeling she gave people now was different, especially her eyes. It was as if they were brighter than the stars in the sky. Everyone was silent for a moment. The short and fat man said snappily, why didn't you look after the camp properly? Why didn't you cook properly at home? Why did you run around for no reason? If you were accidentally eaten by the origin beasts or killed by other hunting groups, you would have nowhere to cry. Yun Chuzhou knew that this short and fat man's words were not pleasant to hear. He was actually a good person, so she was not angry. She smiled and said, aren't you going to ask me what I'm going to do? The short and fat man curled his lips. What else can you do? You're just going to pick wild vegetables or something like that. Could it be that you're going to hunt origin beasts? Not to mention anything else, even a tier 1 poisonous stinger ghost bee could kill you. At this point, the short fatty suddenly remembered that after returning to the camp, everyone had been frowning and had forgotten to tell them about the poisonous stinger ghost bee that had cut their ropes. Just as the short fatty was daydreaming, he heard a loud bang and a huge three-eyed ghost wolf's corpse appeared in front of him. The short fatty, Sha Wuhan, and the others were dumbfounded. They rubbed their eyes almost at the same time. Were they hallucinating? The three-eyed ghost wolf was a level 6 origin beast. Where did Zhen come from? After a long silence, the short fatty stammered, Zhen where did you get it? I picked it up, Yun Chuzhou said with a smile. Picked it up? Who was she kidding? This was a level 6 origin beast? How could she pick up a level 6 origin beast so easily? He Xinjiu looked at them with a smile. She naturally did not pick up this origin beast, but it was this guy who led hundreds of admirers to ambush it. Previously, after Yun Chuzhou left with the remaining admirers, she had been swaggering around in the forest. After spending more than 2 hours, she finally managed to attract a long string of admirers. However, He Xinjiu knew that even if there were hundreds of poisonous stinger ghost bees behind her, it was still quite difficult to hunt a level 6 demonic beast. She had to use a surprise attack to win. This fellow had been lucky. She had encountered a three-eyed ghost wolf that was already injured on its leg. In the chaos, she rushed towards the eye on the forehead of the three-eyed ghost wolf without caring about her own safety. She did not expect to hit the right spot. The weakness of the three-eyed ghost wolf was the eye on its forehead. After being stabbed by He Xinjiu, its fighting strength was greatly reduced and it died very quickly. Yun Chuzhou secretly put the three-eyed ghost wolf's corpse into her storage ring. The poisonous stinger ghost bees were not very intelligent. Although it was strange, how did their prey suddenly disappear? However, they still followed the poisonous stinger ghost bees and flew away. He Xinjiu got what she wanted. She went to a hidden place and transformed herself into a withered branch. The poisonous stinger ghost bees circled around for a while and then dispersed. After the bees left, He Xinjiu learned her lesson. This time, she transformed into a tricolored ghost butterfly and leisurely flew to the edge of the forest. When she reached the hidden place, she transformed into Zhen Mei's appearance. Dog 2 was summoned and rushed over. This was how the previous scene happened. Chapter 43:01 The blessing of the ghost ancestor. Yun Chuzhou collected her thoughts. She smiled and said, I really picked it up. I've been living alone since I was young, so I know a little about medicine. I saw that my brothers were often injured, so I wanted to pick some herbs at the edge of the forest. I accidentally went too far, so I rushed back. I didn't expect to find this origin beast on my way back. If you don't believe me, look at the holes on this three-eyed ghost wolf's body, and it's a little swollen. It was most likely attacked by some demonic insect. I guess it didn't die on the spot. Instead, it ran to the edge of the forest in a panic. That's how I managed to take advantage of it. When everyone heard this, they became a little more convinced. There were indeed many holes on this three-eyed ghost wolf's body. In particular, the eye on its forehead had already been pierced into a bloody hole. Clearly, this was its fatal wound. The short fatty suddenly slapped his thigh and said, Beautiful girl is right. This three-eyed ghost wolf was definitely killed by those poisonous stinger ghost bees. If it wasn't for those poisonous stinger ghost bees, none of us would have been able to escape, especially one of them. It even cut our ropes. I don't even know how it did it. The short fatty said and gestured, recounting everything that had happened. Sha Wuhan was still skeptical about Yun Chuzhou's words, but after hearing what the short fatty said, he immediately believed her. At this moment, the short fatty said excitedly, Previously, those poisonous needle ghost bees saved us, and now, they indirectly gave us a level 6 origin beast. The ghost ancestor must have appeared. Previously, the ghost ancestor must have struck sixth brother to remind us. It's a pity that we were too stupid to understand the ghost ancestor's intentions. Otherwise, we wouldn't have let fifth brother and sixth brother, those two bastards, kidnap our prey. Suddenly, Sha Wuhan knelt on the ground with a plop, and so did the short and fat man and the others. He Xinjiu was dumbfounded, but she had no choice but to kneel with him. Sha Wuhan and the others knelt 3 times respectfully and said sincerely, "Thank you, ghost ancestor, for your blessing." He Xinjiu rolled her eyes secretly. What did this have to do with the ghost ancestor? It was all thanks to her, all right? However, this fellow felt that it was better this way. With the ghost ancestor taking the blame, it would be much more convenient for her to do things in the future. After everyone knelt down to worship the ghost ancestor, they stood up. The short and fat man scratched his head and said somewhat embarrassedly, "Pretty girl, I said a lot of unpleasant words earlier. Don't take it to heart." The others also came over to apologize. They felt that what they said about Yun Chujiu running away was too much. Yun Chujiu said with a smile, "It's not strange if you don't know. Besides, we're all family. There's no need to treat us as strangers. Brother Sha, now that we have this level 6 origin beast, doesn't it mean that the wolf-killing hunting group doesn't need to be disbanded?" The short fatty and the others looked at Sha Wuhan eagerly. Sha Wuhan clenched his fist. He said hoarsely, "The wolf-killing hunting group was founded by me, so I naturally don't want to disband. Since the Ghost Clan has helped us through this crisis, then let's give it another try." The short fatty and the others immediately cheered. Although they could join other hunting groups with their skills, they would rather eat chaff and swallow vegetables with Sha Wuhan than be with those people. The corner of Yun Chujia's mouth curled up. However, when she took a glance at the storage ring in her hand, her gaze instantly became a little subtle. This guy still felt that little Jiao was more pleasing to the ears than ninth sister. Everyone agreed readily. Logically speaking, if there were fewer people, they should be ranked again. However, everyone disliked the rankings of 5th and 6th, so Sha Wuhan directly ranked Yun Chujiu as 9th. Now, there were a total of 7 people in the wolf-killing hunting group. The eldest killed Sha Wuhan, the second was short and fat, the third was a scholar, the fourth was a leopard, the 7th was bald, the 8th was thin, the 9th. Zhen Meili. Sha Wuhan looked at his subordinates. To be honest, he really didn't have much confidence. With the 5th and 6th gone, their combat strength had weakened quite a bit. It was likely that they would still have a hard time in the future. After returning to the wooden house, Buttface asked curiously about what had happened. Yun Chujiu immediately gave a simple explanation. Buttface said with a fawning expression, "Little fairy, you're really amazing. You're too good at attracting bees and butterflies." Yun Chujiu said, "Get lost." Chapter 4303 Hurricane Division 1. The next morning, Yun Chujiu woke up to find that Sha Wuhan and the others had also woken up early. Yun Chujiu could not help but wonder, was this a conscience-stricken decision to cook for her? However, Yun Chujiu quickly realized that she was thinking too much. Sha Wuhan and the others did not help her cook. Instead, they cleaned up the camp and walked around the camp anxiously. Yun Chujiu asked the short fat man, second brother, "Why are you up so early today?" The short fat man said, "Because today is the day to pay the human head fee. Every time those people come to collect the human head fee, they will find fault with us, so our hearts are uneasy. We can't sleep even if we want to." "Right, second brother, who exactly is the person who comes to collect the human head fee? Why does he make us pay the human head fee?" Yun Chujiu asked, puzzled. The short fatty's expression changed when he heard that. He lowered his voice and said, "You should be more careful when you speak in the future. Be careful that you don't let trouble come out of your mouth." The person who collects our human head fee is one of the 3 great hunting groups in the base region, the Hurricane Hunting Group. Hurricane Hunting Group? Their name sounds pretty good. Are they very powerful? Yun Shujo asked in puzzlement. The short fatty simply scoffed at her question. However, he still patiently explained, of course they're powerful. The several hundred people in the Hurricane Hunting Group are all outstanding individuals in the base region. Let me put it this way. Our boss Shah's elemental energy should be considered as well known in this area, but the weakest hunter in the Hurricane Hunting Group is at least 4 levels higher than his elemental energy. Yun Shujo frowned. Sha Wuhan was at the 7th level of the Origin Realm. If the weakest member of the Hurricane Hunting Group was 4 levels higher than him, that meant that the weakest member of the Hurricane Hunting Group was also at the 2nd level of the Origin Realm. It was indeed very powerful. Second brother, since the Hurricane Hunting Group is so strong, is there a need to exploit us little shrimps? Can't they just casually hunt a high-level demon beast? Yun Shujo asked, puzzled. The short and fat man shook his head and said, you don't know that. There are many subgroups under the Hurricane Hunting Group. The ones who collect our head fee are the people from the first subgroup of the Hurricane Hunting Group. They are not as strong as the people from the main group. The head fee they collect is considered a good income. Moreover, they collect it every month. The accumulated amount is also very considerable. Then what is their strength? They are generally 1 or 2 levels higher than us. Anyway, we can't afford to provoke them. Don't talk too much later to avoid attracting trouble. The short and fat man instructed. Yun Shujo nodded. She was not strong enough now, so naturally, she would not cause trouble for no reason. The group had just eaten breakfast when they saw dust flying in the distance. It was obviously the people from the first division of Hurricane. Yun Shujo raised her head and looked into the distance. She saw a group of people riding the Gale Ghost horses. They were wearing the same uniform and there was a big flag in front of them with the words, First Division of Hurricane, written on it. Those people quickly approached from afar, but they did not dismount. Instead, they directly charged into various camps, completely disregarding the people and items in the camps. Everyone dared to be angry but did not dare to say anything. No one dared to say anything more, and they obediently handed over yuan coins or the corpses of origin beasts of equivalent value to them. Occasionally, there would be a group of people who could not pay the full human head fee and were directly driven out of the camp. Some who walked slightly slower would even be whipped by those people. Sha Wuhan and the others' faces were slightly pale. If it wasn't for little Jiu coincidentally picking up the 3-eyed ghost wolf's corpse yesterday, they would probably have the same fate today. Very quickly, a person rode a horse and rushed to Yun Shujia's camp. That person looked at the 3-eyed ghost wolf's corpse with disdain and said, although this 3-eyed ghost wolf is a 6th-rank origin beast, its fur is incomplete and cannot be sold for a good price. At most, it will cost you 15,000 yuan. There are 7 of you now, and you are still lacking 20,000 yuan. Chapter 4304 brought little Jiu to hunt. The short and fat man wanted to explain that Yun Shujo was only a servant last month and only became a hunter this month, but he was stopped by Sha Wuhan with his eyes. These people were completely unreasonable. If they said anything, it would cause trouble instead. So, they might as well give them money and send them away. Thus, Sha Wuhan transferred the remaining 20,000 yuan to that person. That person then snorted coldly and headed to another camp. When everyone saw that person leave, they heaved a sigh of relief. No matter what, this month could be considered to have passed. Tu Lai saw that the wolf-killing hunting group had actually collected the human head fee. He could not help but feel a little embarrassed and angry. He glared at Old Five and said, "Didn't you say that Sha Wuhan simply could not collect the human head fee?" Old Five was also puzzled as to how Sha Wuhan and the others had collected the human head fee. Could it be that Sha Wuhan had hidden some private money? It was really detestable. He rolled his eyes and said, "Boss, don't be angry. Even if they pay this month's human head fee, they won't be able to collect it next month. Now, including that ugly freak, there are only 7 of them. As long as we don't let them pass through the blockade line, they can only hunt 3rd or 4th level origin beasts. Even if we tire them to death, they won't be able to collect enough." Tu Lai felt that what Lao Wu said made sense. Since they had already wasted so much time, it was not a bad idea to wait for another month. The various hunting groups left the camp one after another and entered the forest to hunt. Sha Wuhan said to Yun Chuzhou, "Little Zhou, you stay at home and guard well. We're going to hunt." Yun Chuzhou said with a smile, "Big brother, bring me in to experience it. Although I'm a little weak, I'll just watch from a distance." Sha Wuhan saw her persistence and thought about it again. Since they couldn't enter the depths of the forest, it wasn't impossible for them to bring her along. Therefore, He Xinjiu followed behind Sha Wuhan and the others with Butt-Face. Butt-Face thought to himself, "Do these people still think that the little fairy is a weak chicken? TSK, this is a pervert who can't die. With her as a teammate, you guys are simply lucky." As these hunting groups had been hunting here, the number of origin beasts at the edge of the thorny forest became fewer and fewer. The wolf-killing hunting group had walked for nearly 4 hours before they encountered a level 3 golden-spotted ghost deer. The group did not spend much effort to kill the golden-spotted ghost deer, the short fatty cursed. These level 3 and level 4 origin beasts are becoming fewer and fewer, and they are not worth much. Those bastards still don't want us to go in. How infuriating. Yun Chuzhou blinked her eyes. What if we force our way in? It's not that we haven't tried, but we haven't been in for long. Before we encounter a high-level origin beast, those bastards will come and chase us away. They are all in cahoots with that Tu Lai. The short and fat man said in a bad mood. Tu Lai's fierce tiger hunting group was considered a relatively large hunting group in Thorn Forest. The other hunting groups had gotten some benefits from him, so they joined forces to exclude the wolf hunting group. Moreover, there were few monks or meat. They wished that they could kill the wolf hunting group and get chased away if they couldn't gather enough human head fees. This way, they would have one less competitor. Yun Chuzhou curled the corners of her mouth. "We can't go in. Maybe those 5th or 6th tier demonic beasts will come out by themselves." The short fatty rolled his eyes. "Little Zhou, were you frightened by the people from the 1st Division of Hurricane this morning? Why are you talking nonsense? Those level 5 and level 6 origin beasts did not move around in the periphery at all, let alone the other hunting groups that were still blocking them. Even if there were really high-level origin beasts that wanted to escape, they would be killed by them first." The corners of Yun Chuzhou's mouth curled up. She thought to herself, that was only possible if they could stop them. Chapter 4305, Killing a New World. When the short fatty saw that Yun Chuzhou was silent, he thought that she had been convinced by him. In the past, although he was the second brother in the hunting group, those bastards were not as diligent as little Zhou. There was actually a sense of accomplishment. After a moment, everyone felt the ground shake and their expressions could not help but change. What was going on? At this moment, a beast roar came from afar. The deafening roar was simply terrifying. Following that, other hunting groups ran over, rolling and crawling. As they ran, they shouted, "Run! Run! The origin beasts are revolting." The short fatty wanted to run when Yun Chuzhou grabbed him and said, "Second brother, why are you running? Didn't you worry about not having any origin beasts to hunt? Now that a good opportunity has come, why are you still running?" The short fatty almost died from anger. "Little Zhou, are you stupid? This is an origin beast riot. If you don't run, are you going to wait for death here?" Yun Chuzhou said with a smile, "If they say it's an origin beast riot, then it's an origin beast riot. Isn't the head of state's riot on a fixed date? How can it be a riot? Moreover, If it was really the head of state's riot, would it only have such a small number of people? Those people must have been blind. The short fatty pondered for a moment. What she said made sense. After listening carefully, his voice seemed to have become much softer. Could it really be that those people were wrong? Sha Wuhan glanced at Yun Chujiu. He had previously thought that Zhen Meili was an orphan who couldn't cultivate, but now, he realized that she wasn't that simple. However, she was right about one thing. The other hunting groups had all been scared away. Now was a great opportunity for them to enter and hunt high-level origin beasts. Although it was a bit risky, Sha Wuhan still decided to give it a try. After all, such an opportunity was too rare. Thus, he said to everyone, "Let's go in and take a look. But everyone, be careful. The situation isn't right. Retreat immediately." Although the short fatty did not quite agree, he did not say anything and followed everyone inside. Not long after entering, they encountered a three-eyed ghost wolf. The few of them were overjoyed and immediately surrounded and attacked. He Xinjiu brought Buttface along to watch the commotion from afar. Occasionally, they would help shout slogans or something. This fellow thought to himself that Go Weiba did not eat for free. Sometimes, it was still somewhat useful. Yun Chujiu silently cursed while keeping an eye on the battle situation. Sha Wuhan's elemental energy and combat techniques were obviously higher than the others. After 15 minutes, the three-eyed ghost wolf died. The short fatty laughed heartily in joy. "That's great. With this three-eyed ghost wolf, we can kill some 3rd or 4th tier elemental beasts to gather enough human head fees." Yun Chujiu secretly curled her lips when she heard that. Look at how promising he was. Her goal was not just to collect the human head fee. She wanted to establish the strongest hunting group in the Ghost region, a hunting group that could contend with the royal family. A hunting group that could dominate the Ghost region. Initially, she did not think that way. She only wanted to use some means to get the fiery red glaze and leave the Ghost region. However, after Di Biming disappeared, she changed her mind. According to Lan Luochen, she guessed that there was a huge conspiracy against Di Biming. It was very likely that Di Biming would become the target of everyone. However, if they held the Ghost realm in their hands, even if everyone wanted to be their enemy, they would have a way out. So what if they were enemies with the whole world? At most, she would kill her way out. It was still the same sentence. If anyone dared to touch her gigolo, they would kill God and Buddha. Chapter 4306, Rough Skin and Thick Flesh. Just as He Xinjiu was thinking about it, she heard the short fatty shout in surprise, "Ah!" Another one came, "We're rich." Yun Chujiu looked up and saw another three-eyed ghost wolf running over in a panic. Sha Wuhan and the others naturally wouldn't let go of such a good opportunity, so they immediately went to surround it. Yun Chujiu slowly followed behind with butt face, thinking about the next plan in her heart. First, naturally, it was to increase her own elemental energy. Without strength, everything would be for naught. Second, it was to seize power. Next, it was to increase her strength. As long as she had the primitive accumulation, she believed that with her means, her power would soar like a snowball. After thinking about it, it was better to cultivate first. Moreover, only after cultivating to the 9th level of the origin realm would one have the chance to enter the spirit soul world to look for the gigolo. Of course, the gigolo might come back very soon. With the gigolo, it would be even easier. Yun Chujiu was still in a daze when she heard the short fatty exclaim, "Little Jiu, be careful." Yun Chujiu looked up and saw that the three-eyed ghost wolf had actually jumped out of the encirclement and pounced towards her. It was already too late for Sha Wuhan and the others to come and save her. Their hearts sank. It was over. Little Jiu would be seriously injured even if she didn't die. Sha Wuhan was so regretful that his intestines were about to turn green. If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have brought her here. However, it was too late to say anything now. Just as everyone was worried, they saw the earthy yellow puppy beside Yunchujo barking at the three-eyed ghost wolf. The short fatty grinned. "You're a mixed breed, a dog and a puppy. What's the use of barking anymore?" Could it be that the three-eyed ghost wolf was afraid? However, the next moment, the short and fat man staggered because he saw the three-eyed ghost wolf, which was dozens of times the size of a khaki pup, lying on the ground with its front legs. To be precise, it was lying on the ground. Before he could recover, he saw Yunchujo take out a short knife and stab the eye on the three-eyed ghost wolf's forehead. The short and fat man's head buzzed. She was courting death. Initially, the three-eyed ghost wolf had inexplicably collapsed on the ground. She only needed to dodge and jump away, and they would be able to rush to rescue her. Now, she was courting death by attacking the three-eyed ghost wolf. She was really courting death. She was only in the first layer of Yuanshu, and the three-eyed ghost wolf could send her flying with a single claw. If this wasn't courting death, then what was? The situation was basically the same as what the short fatty had expected, with only a slight deviation. Hei Shinjo was indeed sent flying, but the short knife in her hand had also pierced the eye on the three-eyed ghost wolf's forehead. The three-eyed ghost wolf roared furiously and tried to attack Yunchujo, who was lying in the distance again. However, it was stopped by Sha Wuhan and the others. As the three-eyed ghost wolf's vital part had been stabbed, it was killed by Sha Wuhan and the others not long after. However, the others were not happy. That was because they saw the khaki puppy surrounding little Jio's corpse and whimpering softly. It was over. Little Jio might already be dead. Just as everyone's faces were filled with grief, they saw Yunchujo slowly stand up. It looked like nothing had happened. How was this possible? Not to mention her, even Sha Wuhan had suffered quite a serious injury from that hit. How could she be fine? Under everyone's astonished gazes, Yunchujo slowly walked over and said self-deprecatingly, "I don't have any other good points, but my skin is rough and my flesh is thick, so I'm more resistant to being beaten." Chapter 4307 was quite fruitful. Sha Wuhan and the others were dumbstruck. How could this work? No wonder little Nine, an orphan girl, could live safely until now. It turned out that her body was so strong. And that little puppy of hers didn't look simple either. They had really underestimated her. The short and fat man grinned and said, "Little Nine, it seems that second brother has really underestimated you. Not to mention, you were really quick when you stabbed the three-eyed ghost wolf just now. You are really good material to be a hunter." The others also echoed. Yunchujo curled the corners of her mouth and said, "Brothers, if you want to praise me, we have plenty of time to do so when we return to the camp. Now, we should seize the time to hunt a few more high-level origin beasts. Don't waste this good opportunity." Everyone felt that what she said made sense. Although they did not know what exactly was going on, today was indeed a good opportunity. Not to mention other things. The two three-eyed ghost wolves that they had already captured were enough to pay for the next month's human head fee. If they hunted a few more, their lives would be greatly improved. Immediately, everyone continued to search for origin beasts. Yunchujo continued to follow behind them at a leisurely pace. "But face, you're good. You scared that three-eyed ghost wolf with just 2 barks, Yunchujo said with a faint smile on the corner of her mouth. But Face said smugly, "Little fairy, no matter how bad I am still an ancient fierce beast. If I wasn't afraid of being too eye-catching, I wouldn't even need to bark. Just a little pressure from me could scare that unlucky thing to death." Yunchujo curled her lips. She naturally knew what Butt Face was thinking. This guy was probably afraid that she would despise him for being useless, so he showed off today. Scheming dog. When it was almost evening, Sha Wuhan said to the excited crowd, "Although it's a rare opportunity, once it gets dark, it's too dangerous inside. Let's go back to the camp. Hearing this, Yun Shujo looked up to Sha Wuhan even more. He was able to resist the greed in his heart and knew when to stop. Sha Wuhan was really not bad. Although the short fatty and the others felt that it was a pity, they respected Sha Wuhan very much. Therefore, even though they were unwilling, they still followed Sha Wuhan back to the camp. As soon as they arrived at the camp, Tu Lai brought his men over. He said mockingly, "TSK, I thought you guys died inside. You really want money but not your lives. Looking at you guys, you must have obtained quite a good harvest. Could it be that you've captured a rank 6 origin beast?" The short fatty was about to say something when Sha Wuhan said indifferently, "You don't have to worry. We still have to prepare dinner. Please go back." Tu Lai was hit by a soft nail, and his eyes revealed a bit of viciousness. However, he did not say anything and left with his people. The originally good mood of everyone was instantly dimmed by his interference. Yun Shujo blinked her eyes. In her heart, she was really curious about what on earth Sha Wuhan had that Tu Lai was so persistent. However, everyone had their own secrets. If Sha Wuhan did not say anything, she naturally would not ask. She smiled and said, "Big brother, can we eat a big piece of meat today?" Sha Wuhan adjusted his mood and said in a clear voice, "Naturally, not only today, but from today onwards, we will eat meat every meal." The reason why Sha Wuhan had such confidence was because they had hunted a total of 10 6th and 3 5th grade origin beasts today. Even if they could only hunt 3rd and 4th grade origin beasts from now on, they would be able to hold on for at least half a year. Chapter 4308, Melting City. Everyone happily began to prepare dinner. When the aroma of the stewed meat wafted out, everyone could not help but swallow their saliva. There was no other way. Eating steamed buns and wild vegetables every day was simply too gluttonous. After everyone had a full meal, the short fatty's eyes reddened as he said, "It must be that Lord Ghost Ancestor saw that we were suffering too much, so he gave us this opportunity." As the short fatty spoke, he knelt on the ground with a plop and started kowtowing reverently. Sha Wuhan and the rest also knelt on the ground. The 7-foot-tall man's eyes reddened. When a person was in despair, a small bit of luck was enough to make them remember it for the rest of their lives. Hei Xinjiu rolled her eyes speechlessly. Since they all knelt down, she could only kneel down as well. It was very awkward for her to kneel down and thank herself, "All right?" In the next few days, although Sha Wuhan and the rest could not enter to hunt due to the blockade of the other hunting groups, they still managed to hunt quite a number of Tier 3 and Tier 4 origin beasts. Everyone's food standards had obviously improved. It was either stewed meat or meat porridge. Everyone was so happy that they could not close their mouths. That morning, Sha Wuhan said to everyone, "Everyone, take a day off today. I will go to the market town to sell the origin beasts and exchange them for some rice noodles." No one had any objections. If they directly used the origin beast to pay for the head fee, they would lose a lot. They might as well go to the town and sell it themselves. Yun Shujo owed her son and said, "Big brother, I will go with you." Sha Wuhan agreed without any hesitation. He felt that it was Yun Shujo who brought them good luck. Moreover, he reckoned that she had never been to a decent town before. It would be good to bring her around. Thus, Sha Wuhan brought Yun Shujo out of the camp and headed towards the largest town nearby, Melt City. Although there were still a few small towns nearby, the price of a 6th rank origin beast was not cheap, and they had quite a number of them, so they could only forego the short distance to go to a city like Melt City. The two of them did not have any transportation tools, so they could only rely on their 2 legs to travel. After walking for 4 hours, they finally arrived at Melt City. Although Melt City was a relatively large town, it was also dilapidated in Yun Shuji's eyes. However, no matter what, there were 2 rows of shops on both sides of the road, so it was not too bad. Sha Wuhan brought Yun Chuzhou into a shop that specialized in purchasing origin beasts. After negotiating the price, they sold all the origin beasts to this shop for a total of more than 200,000 yuan. Yun Chuzhou originally thought that Sha Wuhan would be ecstatic when he saw so much yuan for the first time. However, she discovered that although he was a little happy, he did not have much of an emotional fluctuation. Yun Chuzhou had a rough guess in her heart. Sha Wuhan's background was probably not bad. It was just that he had gone through some unforeseen circumstances and ended up in this state. Little Zhou, keep these yuan coins. You deserve it. Sha Wuhan transferred 15,000 yuan coins to Yun Chuzhou without any explanation. There were many people on the street, so Yun Chuzhou couldn't refuse. Besides, she really had a use for money, so she smiled and said, "Thank you, big brother. Let's go to the shop in front and take a look." The two entered a grocery store. There were quite a lot of customers inside. The shop assistant saw that the clothes on Yun Chuzhou and Sha Wuhan were very tattered, so he didn't bother with them and let them see for themselves. Yun Chuzhou wanted to buy a few ghost talismans. According to Butt Face, the talismans in the ghost realm were called ghost talismans, but the method of drawing ghost talismans was firmly controlled by the aristocratic families and the royal family, not to mention these commoners. Even commoners didn't have the chance to learn. Chapter 4309, Ghost Talismans. Yun Chuzhou had always been very confident. She felt that if she bought a few ghost talismans and went back to study them, she should be able to learn them even if no one taught her. However, she didn't know if there were any ghost talismans in this grocery store. She cleared her throat and asked the staff, "Do you have any ghost talismans in your store?" The moment Yun Chuzhou's words left her mouth, the entire store fell into a dead silence. Everyone looked at her as if they were looking at an idiot. Yun Chuzhou was puzzled. Did she say something amazing? Why were all of them looking like they had seen a ghost? Just as this fellow was in a daze, Sha Wuhan grabbed her sleeve and dragged her out of the shop without any explanation. At the same time, the people in the shop burst into laughter. "Ha ha ha, that ugly freak actually wants to buy ghost talismans?" I'm dying of laughter. Yeah, where did this idiot come from? Buy ghost talismans? Not to mention that there are no ghost talismans for sale in the base domain. Even if there are, can she afford them? Hey Shinjo, cursed Butt Face, who was in the origin beast bag. Butt Face, didn't you say that there are ghost talismans for sale in the base domain? Give me an explanation. Butt Face said weakly, when I was in the ghost domain, there were indeed people who sold them. Who knew that they would be gone now? It's not my fault. Yun Chuzhou continued to teach Butt Face a lesson. Sha Wuhan asked in a low voice, "Little Zhou, why did you buy ghost talismans?" Yun Chuzhou blinked her eyes. I heard that ghost talismans are very powerful, so I used them to protect myself. Sha Wuhan shook his head. You grew up alone, so it's no wonder you didn't know about ghost talismans. Although ghost talismans are powerful, they are also very expensive, so there are no ghost talismans sold in the base domain. Some people can buy one or two from other channels, but unless it's a life-threatening situation, no one will use them. Yun Chuzhou said a few words to Sha Wuhan perfunctorily, then frowned slightly. She originally wanted to use the ghost talismans to quickly increase her strength, but it seemed that she had to think long and hard. The two of them bought a lot of rice, flour, oil, and other items from other shops, then returned to the camp. When they arrived at the camp, it was already evening, and the sky was gradually darkening. However, what they did not expect was that Tu Lai and the others would greet them with malicious smiles, while the short fatty and the others were tied up, their faces bruised and swollen. Sha Wuhan flew into a rage, asking sternly, Tu Lai, what do you mean? Tu Lai replied with a fake smile, Sha Wuhan, I don't have the patience to continue playing with you, so today, either you hand over the items to me or I'll kill them. It's your choice. Tu Lai did not want to gamble at first, but it just so happened that a hunter from the fierce tiger hunting group also went to Melt City today. He just happened to see Sha Wuhan selling a lot of Tier 6 origin beasts, and when he came back, he told Tu Lai about this matter. When Tu Lai heard this, he could not sit still. He originally thought that he could use the human head fee to force Sha Wuhan, so he did not plan to take the risk. However, now that Sha Wuhan actually had money, he could only take the risk. Tu Lai, quickly release him, or else I will destroy that thing, Sha Wuhan said coldly. Tu Lai sneered, this move of yours used to be useful to me, but it's useless now. I'm going all out today. If you want to destroy it, then destroy it. In any case, if you destroy the thing, these 5 people and the 2 of you will all die. The short fatty and the others' mouths were gagged. Although they struggled with all their might, they could not make a sound. However, their intention was obvious. They wanted Sha Wuhan to ignore their lives and leave quickly. However, how could Sha Wuhan abandon them? Chapter 43:10 The item in Sha Wuhan's hands. Sha Wuhan knew that he had been forced into a dead end. Regardless of whether he handed over the item or not, he was afraid that he would be doomed today. At this moment, Yun Shuzhou said weakly, Brother Sha, I'm just a servant. This is the matter of your wolf hunting squad. Don't drag me into it. Hurry up and ask them to release me. The fierce tiger hunting squad members immediately laughed out loud. This ugly freak was really realistic. However, it was also true that nothing was more important than life. Sha Wuhan was slightly puzzled. He felt that Yun Shuzhou was not such a person. However, at this point in time, one had to live. Hence, he said to Tu Lai, let her go first. Otherwise, I'll turn around and leave. With my skills, you won't be able to stop me. Tu Lai's eyes flickered as he weighed the pros and cons in his heart. After all, she was just an ugly freak. It didn't matter if he let her go. Hence, he waved his hand and the fierce tiger hunting group made an opening. Yun Shuzhou ran away as if there was a dog chasing after her. Sha Wuhan heard Yun Shuzhou whisper a word in his ear before she left, delay. However, what was the use of delaying for a while? Tu Lai ignored Yun Shuzhou, who had quickly disappeared. Instead, he said to Sha Wuhan, are you going to hand it over or not? The veins on Sha Wuhan's forehead bulged. His eyes were bloodshot. Whether he handed it over or not, he would die. Moreover, Tu Lai could not let the others go like he had let little Jiu go. This time, he was determined to get that thing. Sha Wuhan recalled what Yun Shuzhou had said before. Now, he could only make a last resort. Hence, he said, this matter is of great importance. Give me an hour to think about it. Otherwise, I will fight you to the death. Tu Lai thought that they were now like fish in a barrel. He was not afraid that he would play any tricks, so he agreed. Time passed quickly. An hour was almost up. Sha Wuhan let out a long sigh in his heart. Forget it. No matter what, he had to save the lives of the short fatty and the others first. Tu Lai, I can give you the item, and even my life can be at your disposal. However, you have to swear to the ghost ancestor that you will let the 5 of them leave, and that you will not pursue them. Tu Lai nodded. Yes, I promise you. Tu Lai immediately swore a poison oath, but he laughed coldly in his heart. He would not pursue and kill these 5 people, because they had already been poisoned, and they would not be able to live even if they wanted to. This was also the reason why he had shut the mouths of the short fatty and the others. Sha Wuhan had never thought that Tu Lai would be so vicious. Seeing that Tu Lai had already sworn a poison oath, he took out an old sheepskin scroll from his storage ring. Tu Lai's eyes immediately lit up. Chapter 43:11 Audacious Tu Lai's legs went weak and he almost knelt on the ground. He said in fear and trepidation, Master Shi, you've misunderstood. I forced Sha Wuhan to hand over the thing because I wanted to give it to Commander Ji. Since you're here, it'll trouble you to give this thing to Commander Ji. The leader frowned and sized up Tu Lai. Is what you said true? It's absolutely true. Even if you lend me some courage, I wouldn't dare to deceive you. Tu Lai's heart was like a beeping dog. Damn it, who leaked the news? If he knew, he would definitely kill him. The leader took the sheepskin scroll from Sha Wuhan's hand and flipped it a few times before storing it into his storage ring. Tu Lai's heart was aching to death. He had stared at this piece of fat meat for so long, but in the end, he had made a wedding dress for someone else. He was so depressed that he wanted to bang his head against the wall. The little leader said again, tie him up and hand over those people to me. I'll bring them back and let the regiment commander deal with them. Tu Lai was a little puzzled. Sir, these people, before he could finish his words, the little leader said impatiently, just do what I tell you to do. Why are you talking so much nonsense? Since this person has this thing on him, the regiment commander will naturally interrogate him properly. Tu Lai smiled apologetically and said, yes, yes. Sir, you are truly thoughtful. However, I have fed them the soul-severing powder. This is the antidote. Do you need me to send someone to escort them for you? The little leader said even more impatiently, do you think that I am the only one who has come? They are waiting in front. Don't dawdle. Hurry up and hand them over to me. Tu Lai heard that there was still someone waiting for him and immediately dispelled his last thought. He immediately tied Sha Wuhan up, tied the 6 people into a string, and handed them over to the leader. The leader held a yuan coin in his hand and tossed it a few times. Then, he said with a fake smile, Tu Lai, do you understand what I mean by this matter? Tu Lai immediately understood what he meant. He immediately said obsequiously, Master Shi, this 100,000 yuan is just a small token of my appreciation. Please accept it. The little leader nodded. You are quite tactful. Don't worry. I will put in a few good words for you in front of the regiment commander. Tu Lai said a few more words of gratitude. Only then did the little leader smile and leave with Sha Wuhan and the others. When the little leader, Sha Wuhan and the others disappeared, Old Five said with some uncertainty, Boss, why do I feel that something is not right? Although that Lord Shi's aura is very strong, it seems that his elemental energy level is only at the first layer of the origin realm. Tu Lai glared at him and said snappily, he probably used some treasure to hide his spiritual energy level. Moreover, who is so daring to pretend to be a member of a regiment? Does he not want to live anymore? Lao Wu was scolded so much that he shrank his neck and didn't dare to say anything. However, he still felt that something was wrong. On the other side, the small leader saw that no one was chasing him. He took the cloth from the mouths of the short fatty and the others, then stuffed the antidote into their mouths and cut off their ropes. Sha Wuhan and the others were confused. What did he mean by this? The leader said, don't just stand there. Little Joe. I don't have time to explain to you now. Hurry up and leave. Are you waiting to be chased by Tu Lai? Sha Wuhan and the others were dumbfounded. Little Joe? He was Little Joe? How was this possible? Not only did she pretend to be a member of a group, but she also extorted 100,000 yuan from Tu Lai. This was simply outrageous. Chapter 43:12 Explanation. However, that little leader surnamed Shi was very similar in size to Little Joe. They were all of the strong type, but where did Little Joe get the clothes? Yun Shuzhou ignored Sha Wuhan and the others' puzzled gazes. She estimated that Tu Lai would not react for a while. Moreover, even if the matter was exposed, he might not have the courage to report it, because he could not explain why he had not reported it to the First Division previously. However, it could not be ruled out that other people had informed the First Division in order to get rid of Tu Lai or to curry favor with the First Division. Therefore, it was best for them to leave the area under the control of the First Division. Thinking of the sheepskin scroll in her storage ring, her eyes flashed. She did not expect Sha Wuhan to actually have a book on drawing ghost talismans in his hands. Although it was only some beginner-level ghost talismans, it was still considered a heaven-defying treasure in the base region. No wonder that Tu Lai had always been afraid of taking things by force. Everyone ran for a few hundred li in one go. Only when they could no longer run did they stop. Bai Li and the others ran for a few hundred li. At this time, it was already the second half of the night. Yun Shujiu found a corner and transformed into her previous appearance. The reason why she dared to pretend to be that little leader was because she was certain that there was no one in the camp who was 5 levels higher than her, thus, no one would be able to discern her true gender. Yun Shujiu returned to the team. The short and fat man circled Yun Shujiu a few times before giving her a thumbs up. Little Jiu, I didn't expect you to actually have such a skill. Second brother can be considered to be in awe of you. Yun Shujiu smiled and said, it's nothing much. The main thing is that the one with the surname Shi and my physique are very similar. Otherwise, I wouldn't dare to pretend to be him. Sha Wuhan raised his eyebrows. Little Jiu, where did you get the clothes from Division 1? Yun Shujiu laughed dryly as if she was a little embarrassed. Well, didn't I pick up a 3-eyed ghost wolf's corpse before? I also picked up a storage ring. The clothes were found inside. As Yun Shujiu spoke, she took out an old storage ring. One look and one could tell that it was quite old. Only then did everyone feel relieved. They guessed that the people from Division 1 might have died in the thorny forest for some reason, so they let little Jiu take advantage of them. The short and fat man clicked his tongue in wonder. Little Jiu, let's not talk about anything else. You're really bold. Not only did you deceive them, but you even extorted 100,000 yuan from that Tu Lai. Aren't you afraid that he'll expose you? Yun Shujiu curled her lips. When that Tu Lai saw the people from the First Division, he was so scared that his claws were numb. How would he dare to question me? Moreover, there's a saying that goes, a thief has a guilty conscience. He hurriedly wanted to clear himself. How would he have the time to question whether I'm real or not? When the short fatty and the others heard this, they were even more impressed with He Xinjiu. Only Sha Yuan's heart moved. Little Jiu's thoughts were so meticulous. Was she really just an orphan girl? However, she did not know many things and seemed to be really isolated from the world. Could it be that she was born with such intelligence? Also, the short fatty and the rest did not notice. He noticed that although her elemental energy level was at the first layer of the origin realm previously, the pressure was very strong. How did she do it? Yun Shujiu noticed Sha Yuan's sizing up gaze. She knew in her heart that he was interested in probing her. However, it did not matter. After these few days of observation, although Sha Yuan's thoughts were meticulous, his character was not bad. At this moment, the short fatty said, Big brother, little Jiu, what should we do next? Yun Shujiu heard the short fatty's words and the corners of her mouth curled up slightly. In the past, the short fatty would only ask for Sha Wuhan's opinion, but now he was asking her as well. This meant that she already had a certain status in their hearts. Chapter 43:13, Making Ghost Talismans. Sha Wuhan had yet to speak when Yun Shujiu stuffed the sheepskin scroll into his hands. Big brother, I almost forgot. Keep this properly. Although Sha Wuhan had been thinking about this sheepskin scroll before, he was too embarrassed to ask Yun Shujiu for it. Now that she had taken the initiative to return it, he let go of the little bit of research he had on Yun Shujiu. No matter what, little Jiu was their savior. Even if he hid something, he would not harm them. He thought for a moment and said, "No matter what, Tu Lai will definitely not let us go. He is not worth being afraid of. After all, he will not give up hunting and chase us with all his might. However, once Division 1 finds out about this news, we will be doomed. Therefore, we will head to the Raging Fire Forest where Division 2 is located." Yun Shuzhou curled the corners of her lips. "Big brother, do you think it's safe to go to the second division? Once Tu Lai spreads that thing of yours, not to mention the second division, even the main division won't let you off." The short fatty couldn't help but ask, "Big brother, what exactly is that sheepskin scroll in your hand? Is it very impressive?" Sha Wuhan gave a bitter laugh. At this moment, there was nothing to hide, so he handed the sheepskin scroll in his hand to the short fatty. After the short fatty received it, his eyes immediately widened and he stuttered, Ghost talisman, a book that makes ghost talismans?" The others were also dumbfounded. This thing, let alone in the base domain, was also an impressive thing even in the flat domain. No wonder Tu Lai had always coveted this thing. The short fatty grimaced and said, "Big brother, little nine is right. This thing of yours is too precious. If Tu Lai makes a ruckus, we won't have a place in the base region at all." The third scholar pondered for a moment and said, "Big brother, since the news has already been leaked, this thing of yours cannot be preserved at all. Why don't we offer it to Commander 1 of the 2nd Division? He should be able to protect us." Sha Wuhan shook his head, expressing his disapproval. The third scholar frowned. "Big brother, are you reluctant? Although I don't know what this sheepskin scroll means to you, this thing is dead, and people are alive. Why are you so stubborn?" Sha Wuhan bitterly smiled. "How is it reluctant? Third brother, you only know the first part, but you don't know the second part. Even if I give this sheepskin scroll, there is no limit to human greed. They will guess that I have other treasures. In the end, it will be hard for us to escape death." As soon as Sha Wuhan's words left his mouth, the third brother and the others immediately fell silent. Could it be that only death awaited them? He Xinjiu looked at Sha Wuhan and said with a faint smile, "Big brother, are you really willing to give this sheepskin scroll to them? If you're really willing to give it to them, I have a way to let us escape." Sha Wuhan's eyes lit up. "What way?" Yun Shuzhou was beaming with joy. Sha Wuhan, the short fatty, and the others were dumbfounded. How did this little Zhou's head grow? She actually thought of such an incredible method. However, this method was really feasible. It could save the sheepskin scroll and everyone's lives. "All right, little Zhou, well, do as you say." Sha Wuhan gritted his teeth. At this point, this was the only way. A few days later, a huge event happened in the base region that shook the entire base region and even the entire Ping region. The ghost ancestor had actually gifted several goatskin scrolls to make ghost talismans. Not only that, many shops had started selling paper books with the same content, even though it was only the basic ghost talisman production method. But this was enough to drive Ping region and the base region crazy. One had to know that in the past, the methods of making ghost talismans were firmly controlled by the aristocratic families and the imperial family, so the price of ghost talismans was very expensive. Now that they had books that taught elementary ghost talismans, although it was impossible for everyone to learn them, there would definitely be people who could learn them. The price of elementary ghost talismans would drop by a lot, which was a great thing for everyone. Chapter 43:14, Medicinal Soup. When the news reached Thorn Forest, Tu Lai almost died from anger. Later on, he felt something and asked around in secret. Finally, he realized that he had been tricked. However, he did not dare to report it to the First Division because he was afraid of being blamed. After all, if he had reported the news to the First Division earlier, Sha Wuhan would not have escaped. Before he could come to a conclusion, he heard that the world was filled with books that made ghost talismans. He was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Even if he used his heel to think, he knew that these books were definitely the same as Sha Yuan's. Moreover, it was definitely Sha Yuan's doing. However, who would believe it if he told others? Who would be stupid enough to take out such a precious thing? Moreover, everyone was convinced that this was the ghost ancestor's blessing. Even if he went out to make a ruckus, he would still be looked down upon by others. They would think that he was talking nonsense, so they could only keep this matter to themselves. At this time, Yun Chuzhou and the others had already arrived at the Raging Fire Forest, which was under the jurisdiction of the 2nd Division. Different from the previous times in Thorn Forest, the conditions of the wolf-killing hunting group had greatly improved. The clothes they wore and the things they used were not very good, but at least they were considered to be above average among the hunting groups in the Raging Fire Forest. The short fatty looked at the yuan coins in his storage ring and could not close his mouth. Little Joe, second brother, has only admired 2 people in his life. One is Big Brother, and the other is you. TSK, tell me, how did your brain grow? Not only did it save us from getting killed, but it also made us a lot of money. You are really too smart. Yun Chuzhou said with a smile, second brother, this is just a small amount of money. We will definitely be rich in the future. Sha Wuhan listened with a smile on his face. A few days ago, they had bought the sheepskin scrolls and papers according to what Yun Chuzhou had said. Yun Chuzhou had also made templates according to the contents of the sheepskin scrolls and made several books with the same content. Then, she used a kind of medicinal liquid to make the books look very old. Finally, she volunteered to sell the books. She did not know how she did it, but in the end, she gave everyone 1 million low-grade yuan coins. Moreover, the books and sheepskin scrolls were also credited to the ghost ancestor's blessing. Just as Sha Wuhan was thinking about it, Yun Chuzhou said clearly, come, the medicine is ready. You guys can drink it. Sha Wuhan looked at the pot of black medicinal soup that gave off a strange smell. He was a little afraid, but when he thought about how Yun Chuzhou said that this medicinal soup could speed up their cultivation, he had no choice but to bite the bullet and drink the medicinal soup. Yun Chuzhou was satisfied to see that they had drunk the entire pot of medicinal soup. This was the medicinal recipe that she had asked Guai Chao through coercion. Moreover, Guai Chao could not speak. Yun Chuzhou used a whole 3 days to guess the name of the medicinal soup that it had mentioned. It could be said that this pot of medicinal soup had not come easily. Yun Chuzhou pondered. If she wanted to have her own power, then other than herself becoming stronger, Sha Wuhan and the others also had to become stronger quickly. Otherwise, she would not be able to hold on by herself. The short fatty wiped the remaining medicinal juice from the corner of his mouth, grimacing as he asked, Little Joe, is this medicinal soup really useful? Your origin energy soared to the 7th level of the origin realm in a short period of time. Is it really because you drank this medicinal soup? Yun Chuzhou shamelessly nodded her head. That's right. I relied on this medicinal soup to cultivate. However, everyone's constitution is different. Perhaps the effects of drinking it won't be as good as mine, but raising 1 or 2 levels is still possible. The short fatty wanted to continue asking, but he clutched his stomach. Ouch, my stomach hurts. No, I have to go to the toilet. He wasn't the only one. Sha Wuhan and the others also looked pained as they ran to the toilet. Chapter 43:15 Summoning Spirit. Sha Wuhan and the others squatted in the latrine for an entire day. They even suspected that Yun Chuzhou was deliberately messing with them. This wasn't some divine medicine that could cleanse one's bones and marrow, it was a freaking laxative. Yun Chuzhou was calm in the face of their sorrowful gazes. She was thinking about her next step. It wasn't a good idea to keep hunting here. She had to think of a way to increase her strength and recruit people. The next morning, before Yun Chuzhou woke up, she heard the short and fat man's loud voice, Little Joe, haha, haha, second brother, I have broken through. Soon after, other people's voices were heard. They were all excited because of the breakthrough. Yun Shujo slowly walked out of the wooden house. The short and fat man and the others immediately surrounded her. They did not know how to thank her. Yun Shujo glanced around, but she didn't see Sha Wuhan. Where's Big Brother? Big Brother hasn't come out yet. He's probably still cultivating. The short, fat man said excitedly. He was already at the 7th layer of the Yuanshu realm, and he would probably break through again in a few days. Little Jio's medicinal soup was too damn magical. At this moment, Sha Wuhan walked out with a smile on his face. Little Jio, your medicinal soup is really effective. I've already broken through to the 9th layer of the Yuanshu realm. The 9th layer of the origin realm? The short fatty and the others were stunned at first, then they congratulated him one after another. The 9th layer of the origin realm could be said to be a dividing point. Once one reached the 9th layer of the origin realm, one could summon a spirit soul, and their combat strength would greatly increase. Big Brother, that's great. Then you can summon a spirit soul now. If the spirit soul summoned is a high-level spirit soul, Big Brother can directly enter the 2nd division, the short fatty said excitedly. Sha Wuhan's mouth revealed a cold smile. Rather than enter those large hunting groups, I'm willing to be with you guys. Yun Shujia's heart moved. Sha Wuhan seemed to be very opposed to those large hunting groups. Moreover, he had the ghost talisman book that only aristocratic families possessed. Could it be that he came from an aristocratic family? But why did he end up in the lowly domain? While Yun Shujio was pondering, Short Fatty and the others had already prepared the things needed to summon a spirit soul. Actually, there was no need to prepare anything to summon a spirit soul. However, in order to show their respect to the ghost ancestor, many people would prepare offerings when summoning a spirit soul for the first time. They would bathe, change their clothes, and kowtow 3 times before officially starting the summoning. The corner of Yun Chujia's mouth twitched. The pretty boy had been brought into the spirit soul world. Could it be that it was because he didn't have these things? Dog 2 said disdainfully at the side, these are all useless pompous things. No matter how grand the ceremony is, if one's aptitude isn't enough, they still won't be able to summon a decent spirit soul. Yun Shujio asked curiously, how is the grade of the spirit soul divided? The grade of the spirit soul is divided according to the heaven, earth, black, and yellow grades. However, the ability of the spirit soul will increase with the increase in the elemental energy of the summoner. Then how many spirit souls can each person summon? The number of spirit souls that can be summoned is related to one's aptitude and elemental energy. Some people can only summon one spirit soul in their lifetime, while some people can summon multiple spirit souls. However, it's said that they can only summon 5 spirit souls at the same time, Dog 2 explained. Yun Shujio touched her chin. Actually, it's not very useful to summon a spirit soul, right? Can't we just contract a few more origin beasts? Little fairy, then you are gravely mistaken. A spirit soul is much more useful than an origin beast. Not only can a spirit soul help the host fight, it can also help the host increase the speed at which the host absorbs yuan qi. With a spirit soul, the cultivation speed will increase significantly. Chapter 43:16 Sha Yuan's Spirit Soul. From what you've said, this spirit soul is indeed very useful. If you summon 8 or 10 of them, won't your cultivation speed soar to the sky? Yun Shujio said with narrowed eyes. Buttface curled his lips. Nice try. 8 or 10 of them. You don't even have the ghost ancestor's mark. I reckon you won't be able to summon even half a spirit soul. Of course, this fellow only thought about it in his heart, but he said obsequiously, Little fairy, you're right. Maybe you'll be able to summon dozens of spirit souls by then. Yun Shujio knew that Buttface was flattering her. She ignored him and looked at Sha Wuhan instead. Sha Wuhan had already bathed. After kowtowing respectfully 3 times and 9 times, he sat down cross-legged and began to summon spirit souls. The other hunting groups also gathered around. This was the first time someone had summoned a spirit in this camp, so they were all very curious. Sha Wuhan bit his right index finger and muttered, "With my body, I worship the ghost ancestor. With my blood, I summon my spirit. Rise." Yun Shijia's mouth twitched when she saw this. What did he mean by worshipping the ghost ancestor with his body? Could it be that the ghost ancestor liked to gather the ghost clan for fun? Furthermore, he would bleed a little every time he summoned it. Wouldn't he die from blood loss in the end? But Face hurriedly explained, "Only the first time you summon a spirit soul, you will summon it with blood. In the future, the spirit soul will reside in your sea of consciousness. With a move of your divine sense, it will appear." Yun Shujo nodded. "That's more like it. Otherwise, it would be too terrible." Just as Yun Shujo was complaining, she saw the yuan qi above Sha Yuan's head begin to gather and churn. Everyone watched excitedly. From the looks of it, the summoning had succeeded. However, they did not know what kind of spirit soul he would summon. After a moment, a black phantom gradually appeared above Sha Yuan's head. Finally, the phantom gradually became clear. Dog 2 curled its lips and said, "Io, Sha Yuan's aptitude is not bad. He actually summoned a mystic rank spirit soul. This should be a soul tiger. Black rank is not bad? But Face, are you stupid? And how did you know that this is a black rank spirit soul? Little fairy, you don't know this. The colors of spirit souls of different ranks are different. Yellow rank spirit souls are yellow phantom, black rank spirit souls are black phantom, earth rank spirit souls are white phantom, and heaven rank spirit souls are purple phantom. Heaven rank spirit souls basically don't appear. Most people summon yellow rank spirit souls, so this mystic rank spirit soul is not bad." At this moment, the surrounding people were already congratulating Sha Wuhan. Now that Sha Wuhan was an absolute expert in this camp, everyone was naturally fawning over him. Sha Wuhan was also very satisfied. He originally thought that being able to summon a yellow rank spirit soul was already not bad, but he didn't expect to actually summon a mystic rank spirit soul. Sha Wuhan chatted with everyone for a while before everyone dispersed one after another. The short fatty's mouth was almost unable to close. "Big brother, congratulations. I already said that little Jiao is our lucky star. You see, ever since she joined our wolf hunting group, this good thing has been continuously happening." Sha Wuhan nodded repeatedly. He also felt that his luck had been getting better and better recently, and this was all thanks to little Jiao's luck. Yun Shujo smiled and exchanged a few pleasantries. In her heart, she thought that she had to hurry up and cultivate. She wanted to be able to summon a spirit soul as soon as possible. Perhaps she could go and look for a gigolo. Due to Sha Yuan's successful summoning of a spirit soul, coupled with Sha Wuhan's impartial handling of matters, the status of the wolf-killing hunting squad in this camp had obviously risen. They had a faint aura of being the leader of the dragon. You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.